I'm Miriam.
And I'm Elise. Two friends bound by the love of books.
Taking on the world one chapter at a time. This is the Bookbound Besties podcast.
Hey,
Bookbound Besties! Welcome to episode 9 of season 2 of the Bookbound Besties podcast, where we dive deep into your favorite books, have unhinged chats, and Elise theorizes about what's to come because she has not read the whole book yet. Today we're talking about Iron Flame chapters 41 to 45, and as always, here's your little content warning because this episode does contain topics that are not suitable for little ears.
Indeed.
We just need to do a little bit of housekeeping before we get into the episode and our chit chat because we were a little too keen last week. Unfortunately, our special guests are only coming next episode.
Oops. I was just so excited.
Yeah. We finished recording and then we double checked our calendar and we're like, oh, never mind.
In all fairness, I had marked it wrong on the calendar. I had marked which episode it was wrong. So that's on me.
Yeah. Thank you for taking the point. We here at Bookbound Besties are all about taking accountability.
Yeah.
For my lack of reading comprehension and Elise's scheduling oopsies. Another thing that we are doing now at the beginning and at the end of the episode is just a little reminder that if you love us, maybe not even love, if you like us, and if you like our content, please give us a follow on social media. We are at Bookbound Pod on Instagram, at Bookbound Besties on TikTok, and we've been getting tons of, I don't know what's going on this week, but we've been getting a ton of messages and emails, and we are loving it.
Yes.
We are here for all the validation. And honestly, a lot of the comments that we're getting from listeners is really, really heartwarming because the consistent comment is they feel like they're listening to their friends or that they're talking with their friends in their living room about the book that they love. And that's exactly the vibe that we're going for.
Yeah, that's what we set out to do. Like when we decided what do we want to do with this podcast, like what kind of energy do we want to bring? Mm-hmm. That is literally what we said. We were like, we want to feel like we're just chatting with friends. And like, that's why it's the Bookbound Besties podcast.
Yeah, so exactly.
It's just nice that you guys are feeling that warmth.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I mean, there's so many amazing podcasts out there, and a lot of people do literary analysis. I talk about Book Talk for Book Talk that I love. We did not study English.
We're not qualified.
Sometimes we can barely speak it. So, shout out to them. We love the Fantasy Fangirls podcast. They're super into their theories and deep dives, and so we're leaving that for them to do.
Yeah.
Exactly. We are just your two unhinged friends talking about the books that they love. So thank you for being along for the ride and
we appreciate you.
It. Yeah. Okay. Elise, I've seen you like 4 days ago.
I know. Yeah. Our recording schedule's all over the place right now just because of our lives outside of this. What have I done in 4 days? Last night, I went to Ottawa, which is not that far, but it's a drive, to go see the musical Six. I'm a huge musical theater nerd. Imagine that. Someone who works in theater likes musical theater. It is so good. It was so fun. It was just like a girly pop feminist play. It's not really a play. It's almost like you're at a concert. It's fantastic about the ex-wives of Henry VIII. And it just tells their stories. And the costumes are fantastic. There's just so much detail and decoration and it's all designed based on known pop stars, and it's just such a good design, and I will never get tired of looking at these costumes. Anyway, highly recommend.
Is it international? Like, what's the touring schedule?
Right now it's touring North America. There is a permanent one in Toronto at the moment, but it was written in the UK. It went to Australia for a while, and now it's just touring everywhere. That's so cool. It's like exploded. Yeah. Awesome. I think there's a permanent one in New York City right now as well, but yeah.
We never get the permanent stuff here.
No. No, we do not.
Unless it's in French.
We're not
going to get into that. For those who know Canadian politics,
yes. What have you been up to in 4 days?
Not much, honestly. I've been really busy. This is the benefit of us being two people doing this endeavor. When one person's really busy, the other person can lift them up and vice versa. as Elise has her craziness winding down and she can dedicate herself more to Book About Besties, my career is ramping up.
Right.
And I am just crazy busy.
I hear that.
It's okay.
But you finished the JLA series.
Yes, I did. I finished. I'm all caught up to all of the From Blood and Ash books and all the Flesh and Fire books. And I'm so sad. But it was amazing. Thankfully, I said this in my Unhinged book review, thankfully, JLA did not leave us on a massive cliffhanger because this is the first book that she's written in the series or the 2 series where I actually have to wait for it to come out.
Oh.
And it was supposed to come out in this month.
Right.
But it's actually coming out in August.
Okay.
So I have to wait a little while.
Okay. Well, it's coming. It's not that long.
No, it's okay. The summer can draw out. I'm in no rush for August to come here.
Yes, let's enjoy the summer.
It's so nice to just be able to walk out of the house in sandals, no sweater. Mm-hmm. Oh, my goodness. I love this weather. Okay, let's get into... I was going to say Navarre, but it's not Navarre. It's Tyrrendor.
Yeah.
Actually, it's not even Tyrrendor. It's Poromiel. Because we are in
a
Corden.
long ways away from Bisgayeth.
Yeah, exactly.
So chapter 41. Picking up in Corden, our lovers have another quarrel. To add fuel to the fire, Catriona is there to mess with Violet's emotions. We finally meet Takaris, and once Violet strikes a deal with him, we see why Xaden didn't want to trust the man. Oh, this chapter... and the next just had me reeling.
I know. I was so nervous as I was taking notes because the notes for chapter 41 are so long.
Yeah.
I was like, this episode is going to take forever. But thankfully, the other chapters I guess had fewer opinions on.
Yeah.
But yeah, lots of caps locks in the notes today.
Fair.
Like angry ones, excited ones, happy ones. Just my emotions ran the gamut.
Yeah, she's very good at manipulating emotions.
I know.
It's like she has Catriona's power.
The pre-chapter blurb from chapter 41 comes from On the Aristocracy of Poromiel by Pearson Kitto? Sure. Besties, I gave up on the audiobook. For some reason, the audiobook just deleted from my phone. So I only have it on my laptop and I know it's very simple. I could just sync the two and we'll be fine. But I've been lazy and...
That's fair.
Yeah, sorry. Okay. Having refused every proposal from the Isle Kingdoms, Queen Mariah has named her distant cousin, Viscount Takaris of Corden, as her heir. As the Viscount is living in his 5th decade and has no direct heirs of his own, the decision has not been a popular one. Okay. Kind of random. So, besties. While I loved angry, protective Xaden at the end of chapter 40. Remember, the last line of chapter 40 is, "You're not where I left you, Violence." Violet, not so much. She takes umbrage. Side note, when I typed the word umbrage on my laptop, which is a word, it capitalized it.
Oh, well, it knows.
It knows, exactly. So she takes umbrage with the notion of being, quote unquote, left somewhere as if she were a pet. And when he fires back, I actually loved it. I love them bickering. This is giving Fourth Wing, Violet and Xaden. I love the passion. I love the repartee.
It's a little spice.
Yeah, I like it so much more than the angsty versions that we've been getting for the last 40 chapters. That's just...
fair.
Not for me. Brennan steps in, ordering them to quit it, as now is not the time for bickering. And when Xaden pushes back, Brennan puts him in his place, reminding him that he outranks him. What do you think about this? The outranking conversation.
I mean, I don't know. Facts.
Well, because, okay, on one hand, Brennan is her older brother.
Yeah.
So he has a position of power. This is kind of dicey, but has a position of power in their family as
the protector.
On the other hand, Xaden is the head of Tyrrendor. So I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it is shitty to throw rank in a familial situation. It's not the time or place.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fair. What do you think?
I think that Brennan was in the right to kind of get them to snap out of it. Because remember, they're not alone. They're being
it's not the time.
Listened to and stuff.
But
so
they're not good at editing themselves in front of others.
Yeah, as we see later on.
Yeah.
As they're walking, Mira tries to change the subject, and Violet realizes that Xaden's been leading them around like he knows where he's going.
Yeah, I was freaking out. I was like, why does he know this place? Like, what is he not telling us? Mr. not telling us anything ever?
Unless we ask questions.
It's really frustrating. I to be honest, got a little frustrated with him in these chunk of chapters.
Really?
Yeah. Because of his lack of divulging information.
But he has told her, ask questions. I will answer whatever questions you have. She just hasn't asked any questions.
Yeah, but at a certain point, like, dude.
No, listen,
No.
she's so much more focused on like being mad at him and like her personal angst that she's not using her brain.
You shouldn't have to constantly pull teeth out of a person to get any sort of relationship. Like in this situation, like, okay, she went without telling him, so he wasn't expecting her to see there, but like just giving a bit of context of like, yeah, so I have a room here and I lived here for a while, just so the bomb's not dropped like in her face. Like there's so much he could have like prepped her for.
He could have prepped
like,
her.
Catriona has power over your emotions. Like there's so much he could have told her and he didn't. And it's not necessarily up to her to ask those questions because she didn't know.
You're right. Okay, we'll get there after. But I'm just saying, like, remember a few weeks ago when they first meet Catriona and she's like, oh, so like you had a thing with her. And he's like, oh, do you want to talk about exes? And she was just like, no, like it's not the time. Well, there's plenty of time since then for them to talk about exes. So I feel like they should have talked about exes.
Yeah, but it's like he's not preparing her for what she's getting into.
Well, I mean, he wasn't prepared to have her go in the dead of night either.
I agree, but anyway,
They're both in the wrong, okay?
Sure. I don't think Xaden's flawless, that's all.
I don't think he's flawless either, but we're getting off topic right now.
You think he's flawless. Anyway, let's continue down the halls of these beautiful white marble palace.
But first, I want to know what were the thoughts going through your mind at this point in time? Like obviously you know now because of our little tiff about the history.
Right.
But when he's just leading them through the palace.
Yeah.
Did you still think, because last week you're like, oh, maybe he had a relationship with Takaris because of their dads or something. Yeah. Did you still think this, or did your spidey senses start to pick something else up?
No, I still assumed it was something, that there was some sort of deal between, whether it was the dad or just like Arisha in general and Poromio. Like, I figured they had some sort of connection. We still, at this point, don't actually know what the deal is. I have my suspicions, but we will talk about it when we get there.
Okay, fine. So as they're walking, Violet doesn't even dwell on how Xaden knows his way around this place.
I know.
Because she's so awestruck by the beauty of this palace. Quote, every surface seems to shimmer. And like the palace is built out of white marble and it's bright and it's airy and the ceilings are so high that she says they're as tall as the gale. And
there's gardens and pools.
And staircases and columns. Like it's this beautiful place. And you have to remember that, first of all, Bisgayeth is just this fortress, this
stone keep. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a keep. That's a great way of putting it.
Yeah.
Ryerson House is a little bit more
there's art.
Embellished. There's art, there's tapestries, whatever, but it's still a fortress. And here, this is a place like Mira a little bit later is like, oh my gosh, they have ornamental grass. Like they're so unaccustomed to something just being aesthetically pleasing for the sake of being pleasing.
Yeah. We're finally really seeing the dichotomy between Poromil and Navarre. This is the first we see, but there's many moments between like Griffins and Dragon Riders, and it's so black and white. Yeah. But I love the way she's painted the differences. Like it's fascinating.
And it makes you curious as to the rest of the realm, because we get a lot of, especially here, commentary and allusions to the Isle Kingdoms, who are somehow completely removed from the current conflict.
Right.
So I'm very curious as to what's going on over there and how they live. Do they live more like Poromil? Or
that's true. I didn't really think about it. But yeah, I guess like Venom can't go over water.
I don't know. Maybe that's like phase 2 of their plan, their evil plans. I don't know. Xaden reveals to Violet that he has been at the palace for a few hours, Sigale having sensed Taryn on the move. And I love the little talking to Violet gives to Taryn. Because she's like, you promised. And he's like, I didn't say anything.
Yeah. Can't help the connection they have.
No, you really can't. So before I was talking about Mira kind of admiring the grass and all these things. And I feel like her admiration for the landscaping and water features of the palace is just really unlike her as well. Like Violet, I feel like is less entrenched in the ways of Navarre. So her appreciating the beauty doesn't strike me as odd as Mira, who's like 100% up until now, obviously, been drinking the Navarrian Kool-Aid.
Right.
And so, I don't know. She's supposed to be this like no nonsense girl.
But she's, taking it all in.
When Xaden mentioned something about getting used to the pools after having been drunk or like getting drunk and like falling into the pools or whatever, let me tell you. The first time I read this book, I had this massive pit in my stomach. I was like, you are way too comfortable here.
Yeah.
And you are way too comfortable with letting us know how comfortable you were here.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
And you're right. Violet didn't ask, but it's just like at this point, why haven't you? If you're walking someone into a situation, like even if it's the last second, like you could just turn and whisper like, look, this is what's going down. This is who you're about to come face to face with, you know?
Yeah, I guess I just have to keep reminding myself he's 23. We don't have his interior monologue. He's probably freaking the fuck out.
Oh, for sure.
And he probably like doesn't know what to do. So he's like trying to be cool. Because also keep in mind, it's not just her. It's her and her siblings who are not his biggest fans. I mean, I guess Brennan is.
Yeah, Brennan. Yeah.
Yeah, him and Brennan are close. But like.
Mirror doesn't love him. Yeah.
I don't know. I have a sense you and I are going to be disagreeing today.
Probably. I'm such a, like, I need to know what I'm getting into.
Yeah.
And I'm the type of person who like over prepares. And if I could, even if it's, I know I'm getting into a shitty situation, if I know what I'm getting into, I could just, I guess, like build my defenses, you know, like I could prepare.
Yeah.
But just being thrown into a shitty situation, not being forewarned is just like so much harder to deal with.
I guess, well, you're 100% right. I've been actually in this exact situation. Not this exact situation. Justin did not lead me through a palace. But remember the summer we broke up for like the whole summer and I dated someone else and he dated someone else. So we got back together and we were at university. We were at the on-campus bar and we were having drinks with another couple we were friends with. And then a bunch of other people joined us. One of which happened to be the girl that Justin had dated. I never met her. I didn't know her name. I didn't know what she looked like. Nothing. And so I had this like sneaking suspicion that it was her. But I was like, Miriam, be cool. Like our friends would never put you in this position without like warning you or whatever. Like that's so mean. So I just kept talking myself off the ledge, pretending like
it wasn't.
Everything was fine.
Yeah.
And I even like at one point, the girl of the couple we were friends with and the girl Justin had dated were going to the bathroom. And I was like, oh, I'll come with you. Because I'm trying to like establish this bond. I don't know. You know, like
being
as
friendly,
you do.
whatever,
As you do.
yeah.
And so that happens. And they were being really weird. And I was just like, why are they being so catty? It was just really bizarre. And whatever, the whole like evening goes on. Justin and I were actually going to Cam. Remember when we went bowling for Cam's birthday here?
Yeah.
It was that day.
Okay.
So Justin was going to come back to my house. We were going to like get ready or whatever and then come to go bowling for Cam's birthday. So I'm getting ready to leave the bar and Justin tells me like, don't worry, like my friend will drive me home. So I go home, I get ready. Justin meets me at home. We get in the car, whatever, we're driving out here. And I say, can I ask you something? He's like, yeah, sure. And I was like, that was her, wasn't it? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, I'm glad my intuition was correct and I'm not some sort of psycho. And he goes, no, like you behaved really well through this whole thing. And I was like, it's kind of shitty that they did that. Like, I wish somebody would at least have said something or whatever. Like, I feel like that put me in a really difficult position. And he's like, well, why do you think I stayed for another drink? I gave my friend a talking to and told him he's so lucky that Miriam acted with such grace because this could have become like really messy and uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah. Well, anyway.
Yeah. That's funny. I had met one of Scott's exes. He told me right before I met her.
Yeah.
And I guess that's like what I was pulling from while reading this.
With
it
your
was just
feelings,
like, because we had gone on vacation and we usually go visit breweries. Like my husband is a brewer. He makes beer. Like, so we toured.
He's opening his own brewery.
Yeah. So we toured and visit breweries a lot. And part of the brewing culture is like the brewers end up meeting up and trading beers and usually getting a tour of the space. Anyway, whatever. So we were going to this brewery in a small town, and he was like, oh yeah, so like a friend of mine works there, like whatever, and she's the head brewer and blah, blah, blah. And I kind of had my suspicions, like just based on what he had told me about the brewery or like how she ended up working there or something. I was like, oh, maybe they dated. And I didn't know until like, I think the day of we were going, he was like, by the way, like we kind of were dating, blah, blah, blah. And he told me. So I was kind of like, oh, okay. But then I met her and it was fine. And she was super nice. And like her beer was great. But it was just, I appreciated him at least like just giving me that info going into it, you know?
Yeah, in Justin's defense, he was not expecting this. For sure. So, and I really appreciated that like he had my back like that after, which was nice. I mean, we're married now, so it doesn't really matter. But if you're confident and strong in your relationship, like Violet and Zayden are at this point, yes, of course, it would have been nice for her to know. But at the same time, maybe she would have had like all this anxiety. I don't know.
It's also because Kat is such a shitty person.
No, I know.
So I just feel like she was thrown to the wolves.
She was in the regard of the mind tricks 1,000%. And I know we're getting really ahead of ourselves here, but like Zayden did say that he tried to warn her, but her shields were up.
He could have warned her sooner.
But he didn't think that there would be a reason.
He could have physically gone to tell her. Like anyway.
Okay, well
knowing Kat and her behavior and based on how everyone else talks about her later on.
Yes.
Like there was no reason for him to not arm Violet against her. That's all.
Okay. We're going to
Let's continue.
As they make their way through the palace, they're finally introduced to the Viscount, who is a tall man with unnaturally white teeth. And I don't know why that just stood out to me as something important, because the last time that Violet commented on something being unnatural, it was Varish.
Yeah.
With his inhuman ability to like not sweat on that super humid day.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Oh, I just took it as like he bleached his teeth because he's rich and could afford to.
Oh, okay. Maybe you're right.
But maybe you're right. I just didn't look at it from that angle.
I don't know, but like also with all the dental commentary we're getting on the dragons, like their putrid breath, like I just think maybe this guy's oral hygiene is like somewhat important.
Because he's masking his...
I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. I'm grasping at straws here, okay? Like I'm just trying to like...
No, yeah. I just didn't look at it from that perspective, but you might be right. I don't know.
They have their introductions, and Brennan's like, okay, like, let's get the show on the road. Let's get this negotiation going. But Takaris is like, no, manners. And this is so Middle Eastern. Like, you cannot do anything without there being, like, food and drink offered. Like, in Egypt, if you go to a store, there's a bazaar in Cairo that's very well known. If you go to, like, one of those stores where they sell silver and gold jewelry or whatever, they always offer you tea, coffee. If you go to like a carpet store, I don't know, like not obviously like you go to a mall, they're not going to offer you anything. But if you go to like these little stores, they always offer you something before you do business, which I think is like a nice thing. And
nice
like
custom. Yeah,
exactly. It's a nice custom. And anytime you have guests over, like there's always nuts, drinks, like I don't know, it's just like,
I mean, you're a great host.
Oh, thank you. It's very like ingrained in me. Like, I can't have somebody in my house and like not feed them.
Yeah, no, you're great.
Thank you.
The time that we had Aurora over for the interview was at your house, and you were like such a good host, and you had snacks, and I was like, wow.
It's like ingrained. I can't help myself.
I wish I was better. That's amazing.
You're great. You guys throw amazing parties.
Yeah, because Scott is great at food. I am not great at food.
Yeah, but you take care of all the other entertainment, the decor, the music, the costumes.
True.
Yeah, you guys balance each other out. You're great. Don't put yourself down like that. So anyway, in typical Middle Eastern fashion, even though Takaris is not Middle Eastern, he's just from Baromil, some fictional place.
Yeah. It's funny, though, because I did picture his, like, palace slightly more Middle Eastern.
You know, I pictured the Taj Mahal.
Yeah.
Or, like, the palace in Aladdin, which is also loosely based on the Taj Mahal.
That's basically what I pictured.
But India's Asia. Geography.
Okay. Not the Middle East. Yes.
No. So Takaris is like, okay, like, we need to have dinner first. And naturally, they are not dressed for the occasion. But then the pit the pit is back deep in my stomach because Takaris looks at Xaden and is like, you know the rules. Excuse me, sir? He knows the rules? How does he know the rules?
I know.
And now Violet has reached her limit on keeping her curiosity at bay. Or I guess she stopped being distracted by like the beauty of her surroundings because mind to mind, she's like, Xaden, exactly how many times have you been here? And he's so evasive, the sneaky sneak. You see, I am able to call him out when he is not being flawless. He replies mind to mind, I don't exactly keep count. Besties, I know what's coming, okay? I've read this book before. But this is when I started slamming on my keyboard taking notes. So that's just a little glimpse of what's going to happen today. Because Takaris is obviously oblivious to this whole conversation that's happening in their minds and tells him that he's had his best collection of clothing set aside for them when he found out that they were coming and that his niece, Kat, would come get them and see to them getting properly attired.
Yep.
No.
Yep. So it was funny because I think I quickly said maybe it's Xaden's uncle or something. And it wasn't Xaden's uncle, but it was someone's uncle.
It was someone's uncle.
And somehow it just feels worse this way.
Catriona walks out in a dress that hugs her curves to perfection. And Violet just notes how she's even more beautiful up close. And then our little Violet does the mathy math and realizes why Xaden has been here so many times. And I'm just like, ugh, I cannot cope. There's clearly something wrong with me because I'm feeling vicarious jealousy for a fictional character.
It's a shitty situation to be in for Violet. Yeah, Violet goes full into jealousy mode, but I was like, I can't blame her for it.
I don't blame her at all either.
No.
I
get it.
Anyway, Xaden's unhappy with the fact that Kat is there, which is a good sign. We like that, but the girl doesn't even notice. She tells Xaden to take Brennan to get ready while she accompanies the Sorengale sisters. And then she tells him, sidebar, this made me so mad, quote, we kept your room exactly how you left it, of course.
Yep. I wrote it all caps. I was so mad with Violet because it's one thing to be in this situation, which Violet's like, she gets it. She's like, okay, they dated. So Xaden spent a lot of time here. Like, this sucks. I'm out of my element. Like, I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
And then Kat just like dangles all these little things above Violet's head and continuously is jabbing her. This is just part one. It gets worse.
It gets so much worse.
I was fuming for Violet.
Me too. I felt like she was marking her territory, but he's not her territory. He's Violet's territory. Okay?
Yeah. And last time too, when they met for the weapons drop, she was like, oh, I guess she's okay. Like just...
Oh, no, she said something about how, like, oh, she's striking. I'll give you that much.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. Ugh. Which was so condescending. And ugh.
It's so not nice.
It's so pick-me energy.
It's so gross. I hate... How do I word this? Because of the environment we grew up in and the way media used to be. Like, it used to be very girl on girl. And I feel like I've had to train my brain to not think that way.
Yeah.
And I hate when I see women treat other women shitty. The world treats us shitty enough. We don't need to do it to each other. And it just frustrates me.
But it's true. It's been ingrained in us.
And it's so hard to unlearn and like push those things away. And I recognize that it's hard to, but it's just like, as women, we need to create a better world for ourselves. Like
totally. Like I remember growing up and the older women, I feel like we've had this conversation before, the older women in my life, like commenting on how other women look, that I make a concerted effort to like not say that or not comment.
Yep.
It's tough.
The body issues.
Yeah.
Anyway, that will say
no, but even if someone's gotten work done or something, like I remember, I mean, this is kind of a stereotype of the Middle East, but like Middle Eastern women love their plastic surgery.
Okay, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it's like a thing. And so growing up, it was always like a comment like, oh, did you see so-and-so? And like, you know, I don't know. Anyway, Violet starts to think normal things, such as, like Elise mentioned earlier, why didn't Xaden tell me this? But then she remembers, why didn't I ask? Which is what I think. So here, Violet is like me and Elise in one person. So park this for later. The why didn't I ask?
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
It's just such an exhausting dynamic. Oh my God.
Well, listen, he did say at the end of Fourth Wing that he'd answer any of her questions.
Yes.
And through the first few chapters of this book too, like even when he recanted that he wouldn't like answer any of her questions, he'd only answer the questions that related to him. Like she's known, like I said before, about his relationship with Kat insofar that they dated. So I don't know.
Imagine never being told anything unless you asked, even if it was important and pertinent to what's going on.
Okay, what if this is how I imagine the conversation going, okay? She says, I want to ask you a question about Kat, okay? Like, tell me when you guys broke up. For example, then it's not like a 20 question situation. She's just opening the door to that conversation. So she could have asked the first question, and then they could have had a whole conversation about it. You know what I mean? It's not like he will only reveal what she asks questions about. You know what I mean? Like she needs to show an interest in his life and these different parts of himself.
Yeah, I still think he should have said something.
I'm not totally
like
lifting him off the hook.
I hear what you're saying in terms of in the grand scheme of things in life, and I'm glad that he is like open to sharing and divulging, but it's just like purely like based on the situation. I don't think it was dealt with properly.
Fine, like I'll give you that. This could have gone down so much better. But like he even said at the beginning of this book, I want you to ask questions. I want you to get to know me. And since that, we have not had a single instance. Actually, it's a lie. When they were at Samara and they had that like really cute night together, they did talk a little bit and like she did ask some questions and stuff. But like since then, there hasn't been any conversations we've been privy to of Violet being like, I want to get to know you. It's always been him. Like he wrote the letters. He told her he wants her to get to know. Some of it has to come from her. I feel like she's having a little bit of a pity party. Again, not in this particular situation, because you're right, in this particular situation, like he's not blameless. She's been so self-absorbed through this whole book.
This whole book is a pity party.
Yeah. So she hasn't tried to get to know him and ask these questions.
Have they really been given it time to? Like, have they had time to?
Well, since she's been in Erasure, yeah.
I guess.
I don't know. I'm just saying, one of the reasons I love Xaden Ryerson and why, to me, he is a top-tier book boyfriend is that he is no dummy. He knows Kat is trying to stir the pot. And he tells Violet mind to mind that she should go get ready in his room. I guarantee you, in his head, he's like, I'm going to tell Violet, come get ready in my room. We're going to have this conversation. We're going to hash everything out. And then we're going to emerge and we're going to arrive at dinner on the same page. But Little Miss decides that her anger takes precedence. So she says she wants some space, which is something you would do.
Yes, probably. Maybe Violet and I are more alike than I care to admit.
I think that's why you're so defensive. Because I can tell you, besties, like I 1000% would not be taking the space. I would be like, let's go to your room. I'm about to grill the shit out of you, give you a piece of my mind, hash it out, and then we will provide a united front at dinner. That's what I would have done. And I'm not saying that my way is the best way. Because there could have been some explosions. Like I would have wielded lightning in the room type of thing.
I am all for talking it out, especially when I'm mad, but it depends like how mad I am. If I'm too mad in the moment, I need a second.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to explode. I take my second and then I talk it out. But it depends on the moment. Because I don't want to be reactionary and then regret anything I say. But that's just how I think about things. And whereas like you have said before on the podcast that sometimes you'll say things that you know you regret, but you'd rather just argue it out. I can't let go of those things. So I need to choose my words, you know, like it's just, we're wired differently. That's okay.
That's okay. Regardless of what you or I would have done in this situation, Xaden displays super healthy tendencies because he just accepts what she wants and gives her the space. But then also out loud reassures her that he's only one room away. And when Kat feigns incredulity at all of this, she's like, what? You can't think she's in danger from me.
Ugh, what a monster.
For those listening and not watching on YouTube, Elise just did a major eye roll. Xaden bolsters Violet, but not before she can bolster herself. Mind to mind, though, he reminds her that, quote, Takaris might want to keep you, but every other flyer in this palace will happily slit your throat, and Mira's, in the name of revenge against your mother. Brennan's anonymity is all that saves him here. You have no idea how much danger you're in, the lengths I've gone in order to keep you safe. Question. How do you feel about the quote-unquote lengths he's gone to keep her safe? Is this Dane-like, or is this different?
What lengths is he referring to?
We don't know. He's just referring to lengths that he's gone to keep her safe. Like, in that sentence, like, when you hear that sentence, are you like, oh, that's really sweet? Or are you like, ugh, I can take care of myself?
That's a very good question. I guess I didn't really think about it, my brain was more like, oh, it's true. Because I didn't even consider how much the Flyers hate them for being Sorengales. I didn't realize into that moment how dangerous them being there was.
Okay.
Like, it didn't even cross my mind. So I think my focus is more there. But yeah, I don't know what lengths he's gone to keep her safe. I've enjoyed Xaden being protective. There's a part later on that I'm like, we're pushing it, but coming up soon. Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like, again, this is Violet being really self-involved, where she's not thinking about the big picture, which is so unlike her. And she's only using that like one track mind. We need the luminary. I'm going to do what it takes to get the luminary. And the thing is, like Xaden has said, it's not safe because Takaris is going to try to collect you. And she thinks she knows better.
Yeah, she is very reactionary doing that. Like, blood magic didn't work. I'm going to go get the luminary and then not tell Xaden. That was dumb.
Because he won't let me, because he thinks it's not safe enough for me. But she's not taking 2 seconds to be like, okay, but why does he think it's not safe enough for me?
And it, again, goes back to, like, she's just shitty at communicating, which I found frustrating.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Violet now takes their inside conversation outside by shouting that she wants him to stop keeping her safe, that he never did that last year, never caged her, blah, blah, blah. So regardless of what we think, we know she does not think this is cute. But does this surprise you?
That she's mad?
Yeah.
No, because she's starting to draw parallels to the way Dane was. And I understand her frustration. And it kind of goes back, I think, to the core of her. She doesn't like being undermined, and she doesn't like being treated as fragile. And at a certain point, it's kind of like, let me exist and stop making decisions on what you think is good for me. She has a point.
Yeah, but again, she's walking into the lion's den.
Yeah, it was foolish.
Yeah. He takes the conversation back behind closed doors, telling her that he wasn't in love with her back then. And I think that makes it okay. And I know that you do not, from the look that you're currently giving me.
I don't know. I don't like when people make decisions on others' behalves because they think they know better without communicating it with them.
But he hasn't not communicated it. Like, he has said, you cannot go.
Yes.
We will find another way because it is super dangerous and I don't want to risk you.
Yes, but why is it super dangerous? What lengths has he had to go to keep her protected? These are all conversations and information that needs to be divulged. Also, she shouldn't have gone without telling him, like, look, this is the only solution because XYZ. Like, it comes down to miscommunication, which is why this whole situation just sucks. Like, all of this could have been avoided.
Yeah. But I think, like, specifically here, she's upset that he's, like, become super protective of her, and she's comparing how he wasn't super protective of her last year, and his answer is, I wasn't in love with you then. And I think it's totally normal and okay and understandable that his behavior would change when she's in the face of danger when he didn't love her versus when he did.
Yeah, that's fair. But also knowing that she felt overwhelmed by the way Dane was trying to protect her, and then he starts to, like, encroach a little bit similarly to Dane. Like, I just think that's something, like, it's normal for her to freak out even more, you know?
Yeah.
Because she just went through that with Dane and hated it. And she's like, okay, why are you acting like this too? Like, it makes sense for her to feel that way.
Yeah, but I guess here what happens is Xaden is like, I wasn't in love with you then. And that's a moment of utter vulnerability, admitting that to her. And so that kind of breaks through her anger because she realizes that his anger and protectiveness is a defense mechanism because he's absolutely terrified of the fact that she's there. Then she realizes maybe he's not being a controlling asshole. Like, she has this moment of being like, oh, okay, like, maybe it's not so bad. But then she refuses to back down. She's claiming that she had to do it because she's failed to raise the wards and she couldn't just sit by and do nothing because that would be her not being the woman he fell in love with. And I'm like, okay, fair point, well made, Violet. But then Xaden highlights that it was just the first failed attempt. You failed one time, like, one time, and now you go to, like, the worst possible, like, case scenario. Like,
so stupid.
Yeah.
And like I was saying last week, like, why was she the only one? Yes, okay, the only one that can translate it. Why is she the only one trying to, like, crack the puzzle? Why did no one else look at the symbols? Why is she doing it alone? And then being like, well, I can't do it, so too bad, I'm going to go get a luminary. Like, well,
not only
where's
that.
the logic?
Not only that, but she also only translated, like, the passage of the book that refers to Iron Rain. She doesn't translate the whole thing. She's still refusing to give it. Like, they're both just standing so firm in their positions and refusing to meet each other halfway.
Anyway, this is just toxic. She's not thinking. She's being very reactionary. And she's like, well, I have to do whatever it takes. I'm going to throw myself to the wolves. I'm going to do whatever it takes to save Arisha, the world. In turn, saving Xaden. And then Xaden is also like, I can't handle anything happening to Violet. I'm going to throw myself to the wolves if that's what it's going to take. So this is ending in disaster. But anyway.
But like, okay, do you think that she's right in saying that he is being completely unreasonable?
Not completely. No, I don't think he's being completely unreasonable. She's not thinking, so she does need to be protected. But I also think that they both need to communicate better because I don't think either of them are really dealing with the situation well.
Okay, fair. I'm going to read something, and then we're going to have words, as if we have not had words enough.
Oh, okay.
So far.
We're both very passionate about this.
I know.
Chunk.
Okay, so because she's accusing him of being unreasonable. So he goes, unreasonable for looking for another way before serving you up to Takaris? Let's get one thing straight. If I ever see a way to keep you safe, I'll take it. And then she goes, do you know who you sound like right now? And he's like, please, enlighten me. And she goes, Dane. And then she shuts the door in his face. Elise!
Low blow.
Extremely low blow. I cannot believe she said that. And I just think it's so different. I think it's so different.
Yeah.
Because Dane, basically, first of all, they were not in love, okay? Dane had no right to behave. Well, I mean, they're friends. I don't know. I think it's very different. But mainly, it's because in Fourth Wing, when Dane kept trying to get Violet to go to the Scribe Quadrant, it was like incongruent with the situation. Like, she kept succeeding, finding her way through things, and he was like basically blind to her success and just trying to keep her safe. Here, it's completely different. First of all, they're in the real world. Second of all, we're in a situation where Xaden has the, like, quote unquote upper hand because he knows what's going on. He knows the players in the game. So I feel like she should just take a page out of his book and just let him take the lead here, you know?
Yeah, I don't think it was fair to say what she said.
But you think the underlying sentiment is fine. Not fine, but like correct.
That he's being too protective?
Being too Dane-like.
I don't know if I would want to compare them, but I don't know that I agree with what Xaden's doing either.
Let's move on.
Let's move on.
Because I just feel like we can hash this out till tomorrow morning.
Oh, yeah. Let's move on.
Let's move on to a much more enjoyable topic.
Yeah.
Because otherwise we'll
Girly
be here.
dressing gowns.
Exactly. So the scene changes, and Violet has been changed into a dress and dainty slippers, and she's tickled by the, quote, impractically beautiful nature of the fact that this is how they dress for dinner nightly.
Yeah. And again, it's another just
Stark
black
contrast.
and white of like dressing not necessarily for war every second of every day, enjoying life's luxuries, seeing beauty in the world. Like, it's just such a different world.
Resident costume designer to Bookbound Besties. Would you like to discuss the gorgeous dresses that the sisters are wearing?
Sure.
So Mira chooses a black velvet gown with a square neckline and sheer gauzy sleeves, which have deep pockets, which are what sold her.
Yes, which I get it. Anytime a girl has a dress with pockets, she is excited about the pockets.
It's so true. It's the most bizarre thing ever.
Because we have stuff to carry with us and we are given no options, like no pockets ever to carry it, you know?
I never put stuff in my pockets. It's always in my purse.
Because you don't have pockets. Women's pockets suck.
No, I mean, I'm wearing pants with pockets. Given the choice, I would not put them in. I don't understand how men stuff stuff in their pockets and are not comfortable. You know, like Justin leaves his wallet and his phone everywhere. Like the number of times we'll leave a place and then have to go back because he realizes he forgot something. Funny. Because when he comes to sit down somewhere, the first thing he does is take his wallet out of his pocket.
Yeah, I do that. I always keep my phone in my back pocket, but it like sticks out.
Yeah.
Because women's pockets are small.
Like, I guess with a dress, it's different because it's flowy, so you have, like, space.
I mean, it's funny, though. Like, though it's fun to have pockets in a flowy dress, it weighs it down weird, so I don't like putting anything in them.
So true.
But I also, like, I hate having a purse. I hate having a purse. I hate having to carry shit around.
Oh, I like it.
No, I hate it.
Completes the outfit.
Sure. I mean, yeah, aesthetically it does, but I just don't enjoy carrying stuff, I guess.
Violet's dress, though, quote, I've never worn anything like it, and it suits my mood perfectly. The bodice, which plummets in a deep V to the base of my ribs, is made of woven black leaves, never bigger than the size of my palm, narrowing above the swells of my breasts to single vines that drape tiny leaves over my shoulders and down the sides of my back, leaving the majority of my spine and all of my relic exposed.
It's very
I want this dress.
I know.
I don't know about the like boob situation. Like I feel like I might need a little bit more support.
Right.
Unless like there was some sort of like taping or...
Yeah. I mean, I've had a lot of success with boob tape, but they also make those bras that are super deep.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, but she couldn't have a bra because the back is open. That's the part that I like the most. Like ever since I've been working out more, my back is like the part of my body that has like transformed. It's very weird. I think it might be because of the muscle memory from being a dancer. Like your back is like oddly muscular from like all the pal de bras and stuff. Anyway, one of the things that like made me pick my wedding dress was the open back.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So what did you wear for your wedding? No bra?
No bra.
Okay.
Boob tape.
Boob tape. Yeah, that's what I did too.
But the problem is that it like unstuck.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, but also, okay, with my wedding dress, there was like a little bit of drama because the size that they ordered for me, they didn't take into account that when you buy a smaller size, like than the size I tried on in the store, because usually when you go buy wedding dresses, like you're trying on a much bigger size that they pin you into to see if you like it or whatever. So the size that I had tried on, the boobs fit perfectly. Again, for those who are not watching on YouTube, I am a small girl. I'm just a little bird. But I am well endowed in the chest area. It's like disproportionate to the rest of my body.
Right.
So what I tried on fit my chest perfectly, but obviously they had to kind of pin me in for the dress to stay held up. And so when we ordered a dress, they're like, oh, if you order, I think I had to lose an inch around my waist to fit into the size down perfectly, like with no alterations necessary. Okay. So I was like, no problem. I was planning on losing a little bit of weight anyway for my wedding, and an inch around your waist isn't dramatic. So I said, perfect, we'll do it. You would think that this dress store has a brain and they know, and they've done this before, that the size down, the cup size would be a cup size down. My dress comes in late. It came in like a month and a half before my wedding, which again is not a lot of time. Dress comes in, I try it on, my boobs are exploding out of the dress, and I had a meltdown because I got married in a church and I did not want to have my boobs up Bridgerton style in my face.
Fair.
Getting married in a church. So it was a little bit of a situation, like we had to deal with that. There was nothing to be done though. Like I literally like freaked out, and I told him, I was like, and the seamstress had a PhD in gaslighting because she's like, oh, it's sexy, it's supposed to look like that. I'm like, no, it's not. Here's like a picture of the model. Her boobs are not in her face. Like she's like, oh, well, a lot of girls like want to look sexy at their wedding. I was like, I don't. I want to feel pretty and like comfortable and whatever. Anyway, it's very upsetting.
That's shitty. And the boob cup area is like the hardest thing to alter.
You cannot. It's sewn in.
Yeah, well, you wouldn't have been
boning.
able. You could remove it and stuff, but to let it out would be so hard. Like,
but even we looked into it. My grandmother was a seamstress, so she came to my fitting. I feel like it could have been a scene in like Curb Your Enthusiasm or something, because you've got like me sitting there trying my best to like keep it together because like I'm freaking out. I've got my maid of honor who's sitting there being like, you look beautiful. Like she's trying to just like reassure me. My grandfather's there just like uninterested, completely uninterested in the situation. My grandmother, who's now getting riled up, her and the seamstress are going at it. My grandmother's like, this cup is not standard issue. Like anyway, it was
a time.
It was
I'm
a time.
Sure. Yeah. I actually last year I altered one of my best friend's dresses because I was her maid of honor, and we've been best friends. Like we've known each other since kindergarten, and she bought a dress at a sale, but it needed a bit of altering. But the altering that it needed was in the cup area, and oh man, I did it.
Did you make it bigger or smaller?
I guess smaller in the end, but it was like the shape of it. Like it fit her, but the way the dress was made, it just like gaped. So I had to like bring back the curve so it actually sat on her body. So I had to rework like the whole boob area basically. And that was a challenge. It looked good though.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you did an amazing job.
It was a challenge.
I feel like it's a little bit easier to make something smaller than bigger, because like
100%.
there wasn't enough fabric to make 100%. Anyway, if you look at pictures, like, and a lot of people, like my girlfriends knew that this happened, and because I was really upset about it, and they were like, oh, you can't tell. I was like, yes, you can. But it's fine. Thank you very much.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Oh, man. What a time. I'm so happy that's all behind me. Okay. So back to Violet and her dress and her fantastic boobs that don't need any support.
Yes.
She asks Zara, the lady's maid who is helping her get ready, what kind of material it is. And we learn that this material is essentially like many, many, many layers of material, because otherwise it would be see-through. And we learn that it's Devarelli silk, and it's so fine, it's nearly transparent. And I just want to say the name Zara is, like, I love that name. I think it's so pretty. It means radiance in Arabic, so it's not just the name of a fast fashion company. So Zara informs Mira and Violet that they used to trade with Devarelli, which is an Isle kingdom that until recently had this relationship with Poromil, but this relationship is now on hiatus because they decided that it's too dangerous because of the Dark Wielders.
Yeah.
And Mira takes the opportunity to make the most of Zara's candor by asking about the rumors of the Viscount's klepto tendencies. And Zara admits that he does collect people, but, quote, only if they agree to be collected. Then Kat knocks at the door to accompany the sisters to dinner and makes the bitchiest commentary on the fact that Violet chose a black dress. Quote, I would have chosen something more colorful. Xaden always laments how ... monotone everything is at Biscayeth. There's still time to change if you'd like. I'm sorry, laments? In the present tense?
Yeah, so mean.
But Violet has a wonderfully feminist response. Quote, Xaden doesn't lament anything. Are you capable of having a discussion that doesn't revolve around him?
She's taking it on the chin, trying to change the subject. Like, she is taking it with so much grace, despite the fury I know she's feeling right now.
I know.
She holds out for a while.
Yeah, but and like she's clever about it, right? She like redirects, puts Kat on the back foot. I like it. But this isn't Catriona's first rodeo. No, it is not, because she offers to discuss the taking of Poromish lives instead, blaming both Lilith and Mira. And Mira has had enough. She's like, we don't need the Luminary this badly. Let's GTFO.
Yeah.
But Serena steps in, telling Kat off.
Yeah. Kat also makes another shitty comment, though, that I think pissed me off even more. Is she says, Xaden wouldn't be so protective if he thought you were strong enough to stand at his side. Oh my God. What a bitch. That is so... Oh my God. Who are you to say that? How dare you say that? That really upset me. That is not cool, man. Not cool.
How is like your journey? Because like we're soon gonna find out that Kat has like powers, but like while you were first reading this, like how high did your internal temperature rise?
Oh, totally. Like she fully manipulated my emotions too. I didn't even think for a second that it was a power. I thought she was just like a total bitch.
I mean, she is.
She is. Because even without the manipulation of emotions, everything she's saying, it's so mean.
Oh, I know.
So you don't even need the power if that is how you behave.
Two sisters could not be any more different, because I freaking love Serena. She is such a girl's girl.
Yeah.
You'd think she'd be mean because Violet was with Xaden and her sister is clearly still pining over him, but she's so cool. She's so nice. I love her. Serena and Mira meet, and it is tense, to say the least.
Yeah.
They both have reputations that precede them, and Serena questions Mira's judgment for having dinner with hundreds of flyers who want her dead while wearing a dress. When Violet sees Kat's gown in the light, she's hit with a ton of self-doubt. And I guess it's because at first they were in the dark, so she couldn't see like the actual color of the dress. And that like the red of the dress matched the red of her lipstick. But also, like, Violet's never been insecure before.
I know.
About the way she looks. So I don't like this. And she like starts to doubt her choice of wearing black. And she even starts to think to herself that maybe Kat does know Xaden better.
Yeah.
Violet, remember, Bodhi said that Xaden never cared about anyone the way he cares about you, not even Catriona.
Yeah.
So...
yeah, at this point, I did note...
Where's
like,
this coming from?
Where's this coming from? Like, this is so not like her. Like, and I hated that these were the thoughts she had. Whereas, like, I know we've all had those moments where we compare ourselves to other Yeah, like we.
Yeah. Because we are human beings in the real world.
Yeah. Like
not a fictional world with
yeah.
a girl who's so badass and this is so unlike her. Like,
But I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I've been there too. Like, you see someone else and like they look incredible and you start comparing yourself to them. Like, we've all been there, but it's just so not like her. So I was like, what's going on with Violet? Whatever.
Yeah.
Now we know that there was some manipulation there in terms of Kat's powers, but it was just, yeah, sad to see Violet go through it.
I know. I just wrote because she thinks to herself that she never judges herself against other women when it comes to how they look. And I just wrote, how nice.
Yeah. That was actually a big theme in the musical 6.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then they tie it in a nice little female empowerment bow. But anyway.
I love that shit.
Me too.
I'm such a sucker for
yeah.
anything like that. I'm like,
Yeah.
power.
Yes.
We also learned that Kat and Serena have a cousin who Mira asks about. And I was like, that's weird.
Yeah.
Maybe this guy's going to come around at some point.
That's what I thought too, because they kind of, Serena's like, oh, you guys probably would, hit it off or whatever. And I was like, are we going to get a little star-crossed lovers situation?
I would love that.
I would
That's
love it
another
too.
enemies to lovers.
Yes.
Eat that shit up.
Me too.
Kat doesn't give up on the bitchy comments. She's insinuating now that leaving her hair down is not refined or something. And I'm like, little does she know. But also, how does she know that Violet keeps her hair up in case of a fight? Like,
I don't know. Maybe it's just a Navarian thing, not just a Violet
well, no,
thing.
because the girls in Navarre
Cut their hair.
Yeah, they have short hair. So I'm like, first of all, I'm like, how do you know, Kat? Second of all, do we even know that? Do we know that that's why she keeps her hair up? Like, I know Mira told her to keep it in braids because it's harder to get a hold of in a spar. Anyway, I don't know.
Weird.
Taryn intervenes, ensuring that Violet doesn't kill Kat and that she keeps control over her powers. And she responds to Kat, quote, how sweet of you to worry about me, but you're not the one I'm picking a fight with tonight. And I'm like, no, Violet, united front. We must provide a united front.
Don't give her more fuel.
Yeah, because Kat's so quick. She's like, quote, with Xaden, if you don't already know he's not the kind of man who gets flustered or loses control, then there's really no hope for you. Save yourself the energy because he'll simply think any fight you pick is childish.
This is where she lost the battle, though.
Yeah.
Because I was like, actually,
he does.
He does. You lost, Kat. You lost in this moment so hard.
Yeah.
Like, I was so frustrated for Violet until she said that. And I was
And then she was getting the flashbacks.
And then I was like, you don't know Xaden.
Yeah.
You suck.
Yeah. You don't know he loves her hair down.
Well, just he doesn't get
Lose-
flustered
yeah,
or lose control. I'm like, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Let me tell you about the shower.
Let me tell you about the room.
Yeah.
The armoire.
The armoire. Yeah, no. I was so mad until I read that sentence and I was like, it almost like calmed me. I was like, oh no, you lost. Haha.
Serena intervenes yet again, and honestly, Kat has no shame because she's been told off twice by her sister in this conversation alone, and I'm now embarrassed for her. Serena reveals that Kat is but a year older than Violet, so 1 year younger than Xaden, and that they haven't been together for over a year. So when do you think they broke up?
Oh, I don't know. Do the math for me, accountant.
Well, so we've established many times that I'm terrible at counting and numbers and stuff. Anyway, so basically, we are now over a year since the beginning of Fourth Wing. And we don't know how long it's been since they've been broken up, but we know that it's been over a year. So do you think Xaden broke up with her before his third year at Basgiath, during his third year at Basgiath?
I thought he said they broke up before he met Violet. I thought he said that.
Oh, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's before.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wonder why they broke up.
I wonder why they broke up too. Well, actually, I have suspicions, but we will get to it.
Okay.
I have a theory.
Do you?
Yeah.
Ooh. When Mira checks in with Violet about how she's feeling, Violet says she's not okay, but she doesn't know what's wrong with her either. What did you think at this point? Now, we still don't know about Kat's skills. So what do you think was coming over Violet? Because clearly now she's like, okay, something's up because like I don't feel like myself. At the time, did you think it was purely jealousy or did you think, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I really didn't suspect Kat having that power.
Okay. They walk into dinner, and Violet and Xaden immediately lock eyes. And Xaden loves the dress. He's basically eye-fucking her as he walks towards her. And I love how they're still mad at each other, but they can't get over how hot, like, the other one looks.
They're still so attracted to each other. Yeah.
Violet's like, I'm still mad at you. And he goes, feelings mutual, but it's possible to be angry while still madly, wildly, uncontrollably in love with me. Oh, I love love. I have butterflies. I cannot cope because then he starts making out with her in front of everyone.
Yeah.
And I know that this is what you were alluding to earlier about how like they can't behave professionally in like certain settings, but I could not give less of a shit. He is marking his territory. He is now like,
yeah, and
I got you, validating her.
He needed to put on a bit of a show to shut Kat up.
Yeah.
So I get it. And also to probably make Violet feel better too.
Yeah. Anyway, turns out that Kat has this powerful mind signet, which basically allows her to mess with someone's head by amplifying their emotions. Hence, Violet being a raging mess. But in order to heighten something, it has to already exist. So this like jealousy and insecurity had to be there from the start. For
sure, which is a normal reaction to have. But I think he says she does it exponentially. So the more stressed you get, the higher she could bring you.
Yes, but it's rooted. Yes, it's rooted in something.
It's like valid. But then Xaden makes the most beautiful apology ever. He is so mature.
I know.
Wins me back. Not that he ever lost me, but I was a bit like annoyed with him, and now I was like, that was the nicest, best thing you could have said. No, it was a great apology. So mature.
I know.
Oh my God. He's fictional. No one is that mature. Come on. Walks up to her saying.
First, he actually says that she wins because of her hair being down.
Well, yeah, but anyway. I don't love that. I don't like the manipulation ability with the hair. I just don't like manipulation. Do you think it's actually
manipulation, or is he like just exaggerating a little bit?
Oh, maybe he's just joking.
Well, I don't think he's joking. I just think like
exaggerating.
Yeah.
I don't like that she uses it, I guess. I just don't like manipulation.
I don't know. I just thought that like he's like, oh, if you ever want to bring me to my knees, like leave your hair down. So she is feeling insecure in this moment because she's in enemy territory with Kat there, and Kat being so beautiful, and her emotions are getting messed with. So she's like, okay, like I have this card in my back pocket. I'm going to use it.
Okay.
I didn't take it as manipulation. I just think they're so in love. Okay. Takaris interrupts the love fest, and they start discussing the wielding in exchange for discussions of the luminary, and Takaris wants it to be a performance, and he's even chosen a target for Violet. Did you start to have, like, feelings of trepidation at this point?
Well, when he said target, I was like, oh, this is bad.
Yeah.
Because she can't wield properly. Like, she's learning, but she still can't do it. We haven't seen it done successfully yet, so, ooh.
Out comes a chest the size of an armoire. It's the Rybstad chest. Something Fen brought to the Viscount when they were in negotiations for, quote, what some might consider a greater treasure. The chest was one of the most valuable things Fen owned, and I have a bad feeling about this. Xaden wants to escort her down to the field, but Takaris won't let him because he wants to know that she's capable of things without Xaden being there. And his offer is contingent on Xaden not stepping on the field. So Xaden's like, okay, I'm out, like, done. This is
red flag. 100%. I was like, no, absolutely not. He has something up his sleeve. You cannot accept this.
For sure. But Violet takes the deal.
Yep.
And then Big Sister Mira announces her bodyguard duties are still effective despite her signet not being so. Meanwhile, mind to mind, Violet asks for the treasure that Fen was negotiating, which, surprise, surprise, has to do with Kat.
So do you want to hear my theory?
Yeah, obviously.
Okay, maybe I've been watching too much Bridgerton, but I figured there must have been some deal between the two, between Erasha and, or where are they, Corden?
Yeah.
Like a arranged marriage situation.
Okay.
To bring the families together. And it had to do with Kat and Xaden.
Okay.
That was my theory.
Okay.
Because Xaden reneged the negotiation, and it has to do with Kat.
Okay. I mean, we'll find out if you're right at some point. But also, I love how we have not even talked about Bridgerton. Have you finished the 4 episodes?
Yeah, I've watched 1 episode.
Oh, man. Okay.
We'll
talk about it later.
No time.
Violet tells Xaden, quote, mind to mind, that information, meaning having reneged on a deal, would have been valuable before arriving. And he simply responds, still fighting. Got it. And I just thought that was funny. When they reach the grass, Violet admits to her sister that she cannot aim. She starts reciting facts to herself to calm herself down. The doors open to the chest, and Venin.
The spike in my heartbeat.
I know.
How did they capture a Venin? How did they capture a Venin? Where are they keeping it? I mean, we learn about the stone situation after, but I was just like, how would they be able to capture Venom and bring it safely in the kingdom and keep it safe. Like, how is all this going down? What an asshole.
I know. But also, like, if this guy is such a tricky little trickster, are you surprised that it wasn't as simple as, like, this is, I feel, Violet, Brennan, and Mira's complete naivety to be like, oh, he just wants to see me wield. I'm just going to wield. And that'll be that. And he'll give me the luminary. Like, obviously, he had something up his sleeve.
Well, especially as soon as he said Xaden can't step on the field. If she really just had to wield, Xaden would have never had to go to the field. Yeah. So because he explicitly said Xaden can't go on the field,
great
then
point.
It's like, what do you have up your sleeve?
Yeah.
Why would he need to go to the field to see her wield? That doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
There's more.
Well, like, maybe to be protective of her and, like, I don't know, be right there. I don't know. But that's a really good point. That really should have triggered the thought that something would happen.
I feel like he's like someone that if you're going to make a deal with him, you have to be very explicit.
It's very Faye-like.
I was going to say it like until death.
Oh, yes.
When they negotiate their deals, they need to be very, very clear.
No loopholes.
No loopholes. Which I guess could be very Faye-like, or Genie as well. Like, if you ever make a deal with a Genie, you have to be very explicit.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's just human as far as we know.
As far as we know. All right, awards.
Award.
What is your most romantic line?
I locate him within a heartbeat because he's the center of my gravity.
Ooh.
You?
I wasn't in love with you then. During Gauntlet, Threshing, I had no idea what you would become to me. I sure as hell hadn't sat by your bedside for 3 days knowing my life, if it even existed beyond yours, would mean nothing without you in it. I fucking love him.
Yeah. What's your funniest?
I had two, so I'm just trying to pick between my two. I was going to remind you that it's probably bad manners to stab our hostess, but you know what? Fuck it. We don't need a luminary.
That's good. I don't have one. Spiciest?
We might as well be the only people in the entire province. My body ignites. Gods, the chemistry between us is the only thing stronger than the anger. There's only the press of his lips parting mine, the quick, thorough claiming of his tongue, the jolt of instant need that has me gripping the fabric of his tunic as he kisses me breathless.
Is that the kiss when they go to meet Takaris?
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah. What about you?
Sassy spicy.
Okay.
I could kill just as easily in a gown as leathers. Want to see?
Nice.
Chapter 42. The arena battle against the Venom is in full swing. Mira and Brennan join the fight by Violet's side, and together they win the battle with an electrifying finale. It's a close call between death or negotiations for Takaris, but the group seals a deal with the Viscount. They've secured a luminary for Erasia and are one step closer to winning the war.
Nice.
What a stressful chapter.
I know.
Oh my goodness.
I know. But I kind of like the politics and diplomacy of it in the second part.
Yes.
I was just like remembering. I was like, wait, what else happened? Okay, the pre-chapter blurb is coming from a memorandum from Professor Card to General Sorrengail, which says, though her extraordinary signet allows her to extend the wards around herself and her dragon, Cadet Sorrengail lacks the consistent ability to produce her own wards without extreme emotional distress. I'm sorry to report, I doubt this ability will develop in time. I had such hopes for her.
Yeah, I just read that and I was like, yeah, it's because you're a shit teacher, Car.
Like, totally.
She could do it. I know she can.
So Violet is naturally freaking the F out. And you know what? So is Taryn. But she can't allow herself to have flashbacks to Resin, the last time she's face to face with a Venom, and just stand there dumbstruck. She yells at the guards to run away and tells Mira to leave as well. But Mira refuses to leave her sister, in parentheses, aww, but then throws a dagger at the Venom, in parentheses, no.
Yeah. Yeah, in all fairness, she didn't know. Like, she doesn't know.
Yeah, but you don't act now, think later. You think now,
That's
act
fair.
later.
That's fair.
This is the rider arrogance, you know? She's just in a situation she's unfamiliar with, but she'll just take.
Yeah, but the first time Violet fought the Venom, she was trying to.
She wielded.
No, she was trying to, like,
throw daggers.
the fire. She tried to breathe fire on it.
Oh, it's
She's
true.
like, it's not working. Like, well, you were warned, but okay. You know, so.
I don't remember that, so I'm going to take your word for it. Violet wields lightning, destroying the chest. It's as if the chest kind of like is a beacon for her power.
Which is an extra shitty move on the Viscount's part because he probably knew.
Yeah, but as Xaden said, this is a message to me.
Okay. I thought he put it as an extra, like, well, can she wield her power? Like, knowing that her power would be drawn to the chest. and throwing a venom in. Like, how powerful is she?
Yeah, no, I think it was because in the previous chapter, Xaden said this chest was one of like the most valuable things my dad had. So knowing that it would get destroyed, like that's a blow to Xaden.
Right.
Violet calls for Taryn and tells Xaden to stay put, telling him she can do this. And I'm like, woo! Capable Violet is here.
Yeah.
She informs Mira that only the alloy daggers can kill him. And in parentheses of my notes, I wrote, she couldn't have told her that sooner. And Mira's like, okay, what's the plan? And Violet puts her hair up in a ponytail and settles in for a fight. She starts wielding over and over, obviously without hitting her target. But the venom, in the meantime, sucks the life out of the guard he's grabbed. So he's getting stronger despite being held captive in the chest for who knows how long.
But then the venom says something really scary.
Yep.
He says, it's you, the one who commands the sky. So he recognizes her.
Yeah.
They all know and are aware of her. I don't know which state, like, what do you mean which sage? How is there more than one?
I know.
It's terrifying.
It is terrifying.
Oh my goodness. It just keeps getting worse.
I know.
Anyway, then Xaden throws 2 daggers onto the field, alloy daggers onto the field. So he's again intervening without actually
they're finding a loophole into Karis' rule.
And she needed them, so she grabs him and throws one at the venom, sticking him with it, which kind of gives them a chance to regroup.
Yeah. But he's able to pull it out of his hand. Like, it didn't do anything.
Oh, it slowed him down, though.
Yeah. But it didn't weaken him.
It wasn't a killing blow.
No,
but
exactly.
It was enough to, like, allow them to regroup.
Yeah.
And then Brendan joins the fight.
Yeah.
So...
Exactly. So now we've got the 3 Sorengale siblings on the ground, but it's raining hard and they can barely see in front of them. Meanwhile, Taryn is minutes away, so shit is getting dicey. The venom starts wielding from the ground and Brennan yells at Mira to shield them, even though she's so far from the wards. And I cannot wait to see this moment in the TV show.
I know.
Because I could just picture them huddled together.
I know.
And Mira throws her arms up and screams, quote, as though she's being ripped apart.
I was picturing this whole thing.
Yeah.
Happening on the Quidditch pitch.
Me too! Oh my gosh, that's exactly how I pictured it.
Which is so stupid. We're in the wrong world.
I know.
But that's how I was picturing it, and I couldn't unsee it. That's all I could see.
I know. Actually, in my mind, this is going to sound really weird, but in my mind, it was a mix of the Quidditch pitch and you know at Jack Layton Park where Nicole got married?
Yeah.
Where there was the rock, like this, where we sat on the steps in the rock.
Yes.
Like a mix of that.
Oh, because, like a little amphitheater thing?
Because that's what this is.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So that was because it was the Quidditch pitch, but instead of there being like the stands, it was the rocks at Jack Layton Park.
Yeah, basically there's like a little, at the park, there's like stone steps, like a little amphitheater.
Yeah.
Kind of situation, so you could sit and enjoy the park or enjoy a ceremony.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay, the theory. So you know how like Violet naturally is going to have a second signet because she has a second dragon, right? One of the theories out there's the one I'm sure you've seen, seeing the dead or talking to the dead. Yeah. But the other one is that she can amplify other people's signets.
Huh.
So the evidence for this is that when she comes back from Samara with the alloy dagger, remember? And
yeah. That's
Rhiannon
where my brain
for the first
went right
time.
away.
Yeah, exactly.
Was able to do it.
So that's like her amplifying Rhiannon's signet. But then here she's amplifying Mira's signet because Mira was never able to draw wards so far so far from the wards.
Yeah, like create her own essentially.
Yeah.
Huh.
So that's a theory that's out there.
Probable.
Yeah. Who knows?
One of the better theories I've heard.
It is one of the better theories. Violet tells Xaden that she loves him, but he orders her to live. And Mira collapses, but it turns out that it worked. She protected her family. And then Violet remembers that the stone surrounding the field was quarried from Breivik. She tells her siblings to get up to the steps. She turns to the venom and remembers that the female venom that she fought in Russin was able to adapt her fighting style instantly. So she waits until the last possible moment. And the venom is like, imagine this, okay? She's like purposefully just standing still, like not doing anything. The venom is walking towards her like evil strut villain move. I don't know. And the moment she feels Taryn's wings at her back, she throws the daggers, both of them, because I guess Xaden gave her like more daggers or something, pinning his feet to the ground, calculating the force of the rain. Side note, this is why they take physics. I've decided. Okay. I mean, why else?
Yeah, but they don't, like, there's no measurement in
She's
that
calculating
case.
the velocity and the impact of the rain and the way. I don't know.
Based on no measurements. Like, you can't. Anyway.
I don't know. Why else?
That's just skill. I hear you. I hear you.
And then she wields her power, charging the water that covers the arena, and conductivity, more science.
Yes.
The wet ground hit by the lightning makes it so that the venom dies because, like, he attracts the electricity or whatever.
Yeah.
Woo!
Which is fantastic. Also, though,
Yeah.
last week, 2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
one of our listeners wrote to us about the shower scene.
Oh, it's true. It was Daria, yeah.
So Daria, hey, wrote to us being like, how did they not get electrocuted? Which is a good point.
It was a really good point.
And then this happened. So when I read it, I thought of that right away. I was like, so something's not adding up here.
It's only when it's convenient, I guess.
Yeah, it's okay. We needed it to work, so.
Yeah, exactly. Violet meets back up with her siblings who assure her that they are fine, but they're not the ones she should be worried about. Nope. Because Xaden is not happy. He's got the Viscount in a chokehold. Again, not the good kind. He's literally lifted off the ground by shadows and is slowly asphyxiating. And Kat begs Xaden not to, but that only seems to spur him further. And this girl is so dumb. Like, he already is not her biggest fan. And she thinks that, like, she can
get him to stop.
Yeah. Violet lowers her shield and tells him that she's all right, mind to mind. And out loud, she tells him to loosen his grip onto Karis's throat. Mm-hmm. Violet then tells us why the stones were so important, and it's because they'd been quarried from east of the Dunnis River, the land that borders the Barrens. It had already been drained of magic, so I guess
there's no magic to
it. Like it's a barrier.
It's a barrier, yeah. Then I was like, well, why aren't they mining that shit more?
Yeah, they should
use this to their advantage.
Create gates, create
walls.
I don't know.
Just create a pit to play with people, like
but I guess this just goes to show the excess of cordon that they can afford to do this.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyway, now is info dump time because Violet guesses that they've captured more than one venin, but the Viscount says no. Mm-hmm. When Brennan points out this whole situation doesn't exactly breed trust in his word, Takara says that they've been able to keep that one venin for feeding for days because, Zayden interrupts, quote, the runes on the Rybstad chest hold items placed inside suspended in midair. He couldn't reach the ground to drain it until you open the chest. Xaden lets Takaris go and then pulls a Terran and insists that Violet gets an apology. And I'm just gonna come right out and say it. I really don't care how toxic this is. I think it is so freaking hot when it comes from a man, not a dragon, obviously.
That was funny. I was about to say, well, Terran did it too.
No. When it comes from a man.
Yeah, no, I loved it.
I
loved it. Yeah.
Violet gets her apology, and Xaden's like, okay, now we negotiate. Oh, it's just such a power move.
Yeah. It was good.
So good.
It was good.
An hour later, they're back in their leathers and sitting down to negotiate, and Takaris presents his offer first. Mm-hmm. And didn't you love how, like, Xaden's, like, so touchy-feely with her?
Oh, yeah. He, like, doesn't take his hand off her since that moment they left the field, and I think that's really adorable.
Like, she even says at some point, like, she could barely change because, like, he was still touching her chest.
Yeah. He just, like, needed to know she was okay.
Yeah. Jakaris begins by complimenting Violet on her power, and she's like, yeah. That doesn't sound like an offer to me.
Do we know what happened to his mom?
Xaden's mom?
Yeah.
No. There are theories. You want to hear them?
Sure.
There's a theory that she's Paromish, and that's why he has this close tie with the Viscount and Serena and Kat, because I think we've talked about it already. Basically, like, there was an agreement with his dad that they just needed to be married for like 10 years and produce an heir. So that's one of the theories out there. I also think she could potentially be Venin.
Okay. Like, she has turned into a Venin?
Yeah.
Because we don't even know if she's alive or anything.
No, we know nothing. So that's why I'm like, she's Venin. Basically, anybody who, like,
we have
a question mark about, Venin.
They must be Venin.
So Takaris compliments Violet on her wielding. She's like, yeah, that doesn't sound like an offer. Meanwhile, she's starting to feel herself, like, boil over with anger, which she now realizes is not her, it's Kat. And so she tells Kat to stay out of her mind or she'll wield inside. The Viscount decides to launch into a monologue about why he's a successful collector, and it's because he knows people's deepest desires, quote, what motivates them to give up their treasures. And then he pinpoints Violet's as peace for him, meaning Xaden, obviously. So he offers this. She is to spend a few years as his personal guard dog, monitoring the riderless wyvern who have begun flying over in patterns in return for living the rest of her days with Xaden, their dragons, and her loved ones on an isle. Yeah, freaking right. as if. It sounds super tempting, but she's like, nope, this is a coward's way out. And on top of that, the Isles don't accept Navarians, even as visitors. Scribe Violet is back, baby.
Also, though, like, in what world would you want to be indebted to that man or tied to that man in any way, shape, or form? Like, I wouldn't trust that he would be good on his deal. I wouldn't trust that, like, he would try to weasel, like, whatever, what the deal was for 2 years. Or how?
It was an undetermined.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
yeah.
he would, no, absolutely not. You cannot make a deal safely with this man.
Yeah, so she refuses, which he is apparently not used to. So then he goes for Xaden, offering everything they know about the Dark Wielders, and then, like the little shit that he is, says, quote, I never said I would give you the Luminary if she wielded. I said we would enter discussions. And this is what, I hate this trope. This is, I wrote in my notes, this is like Faye and their bargains.
Oh, yeah.
Where you have to be so specific.
Yes, but he very clearly said it earlier, and I did like
you picked
make
up on it?
Mental note of like, he said, oh, we will begin discussions after I see her wield. He didn't say anything about giving the Luminary. So I was like,
That's your reading comprehension skills and mine in a nutshell. I took
like,
it for granted.
I feel like reading these books have just like given me trust issues. Like I read into everything. Like I'm already an overthinker, but now I'm like extra like I don't trust anyone. What were the words that were used? Like it's stressful.
But good for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Brennan is undeterred. He's like, we're here to negotiate, so let's negotiate. He says, what do you want in exchange for us leaving with the Luminary? And Takaris wants weapons and for them to take 100 flyers to Eratia. But remember, the Griffins don't do well at altitude. But the Viscount doesn't really care. He thinks the Griffins just need time to adjust, and he wants the flyers educated. And Brennan accepts. I thought it was a good end to a chapter.
I thought so too. And it's a good deal.
I think it's a great deal.
Yeah.
For everyone except for Violet.
Yeah. I mean, I get that. But, you know, they need to kind of band together against the enemy. And I'm sure they could learn from each other. So I was like, all right, let's do this.
Awards?
Yeah. What's your most romantic line?
I actually have no awards. I just have 3 spiciest lines. So what's your
really funny?
What's your most romantic line?
You will live.
Aw, I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, what's your funniest line?
I will devour anyone who makes a move against you. My patience has ended.
Okay, that's one of my 3 spiciest.
Okay. It is also spicy.
My other spiciest is, you're lucky you're not dead. I say up at Takaris' blotchy face. If you'd put Xaden in that kind of danger, I'm not sure I would have been as merciful. That was one.
That's good.
And the other one is a Xaden line. It says, if you ever want to have words about why I severed that alliance, then you come for me. Violet is beyond your reach. If you so much as look in her direction with anything but the utmost kindness and respect, I'll kill you without a second thought and let Serena take her place as your heir. Do you understand me?
Yeah, that's mine.
Is it?
Yeah, I started at the if you so much as at look at her, but yeah.
Love that.
It's so good.
I love
I
touch her and die.
I think it was when he said that I was like, oh, were they to be married? But I guess we don't find out in this book.
Well, not in these chapters.
Oh, okay.
I didn't say anything.
No, I know.
You have this like shit-eating grin right now. I didn't give anything away.
No, I know. I'm excited. I want to know that I'm right.
Chapter 43.
Okay. Yeah. The group starts the long ascent of the cliffs of Draelor. We get some insight to the flyers' lives and some tea on Cat. Then, as they finally near the top, they face a series of traps and challenges, leaving us unsure if they will all survive. I wanted to quit reading at the end of this chapter, or at some point during this chapter. I was like, I'm done.
Why?
Riddick. I was just like, this isn't fun anymore. Like, I was pissed.
That's funny.
Yeah.
The pre-chapter blurb comes from Chapter 2, The Tactical Guide to Defeating Dragons by Colonel Elijah Jobin. And it says, from the dangerous waves of the Arctile Ocean to the lowest plains of the Tirandor Plateau, the cliffs of Draelor rise to over 12,000 feet in places, making them unflyable by Griffin. While there are 3 well-carved paths within Navarre to ascend the plateau, along the Crovlin border exists only one, and it is deadly to both Griffin and Flyer. Do not attempt under any circumstances. So obviously, they are all attempting it.
Yeah. Part of me was like, you know what? Navarre has gotten info wrong about the Griffins and Flyers. Like, I feel like they're knowledge has a lot of holes in it. So I was like, maybe they'll be okay.
Well, they're not.
Well, they end up being okay.
Barely.
But they make it.
Barely.
They lose one person.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's okay, but it could have been worse.
Yeah, it could have been worse. So it's 4 days later, and they delivered the luminary, which is basically just a ring, like a giant ring.
Yeah.
To an offshoot of the valley above Aratia, where the new forge is located.
I just realized I pictured it ginormous.
Me too.
But hearing you talk about it now, I was like, oh, maybe it's not
Well, they don't
that big.
specify the size of the ring. They
I
just say
picture
it's
it like huge.
Me too.
Okay, well,
I picture it like
a gateway, like
Yeah.
ginormous.
yeah. I picture it really big,
Same.
like bigger than a human. Mm-hmm. Like maybe several humans tall.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know why.
Me neither. Then all cadets were told to pack for a 3-day mission. They are at the Madaro Pass, and Brennan has told them that he wants them to hike the path while the Dragonfly patrol. Mm-hmm. And we learned that this hike should take them 12 hours, and I feel bad for Violet's knees and ankles, but also everyone else's, because that's a super long hike.
That is. Yeah. If you're not trained to hike, and
Yeah.
you attempt a 12-hour hike, like
Yeah. Like Justin and I went to Banff 3 years ago, 3 summers ago now, and we discovered that we really enjoy hiking, but obviously we were extremely unprepared because it was a very last minute trip. It was during pandemic, so everyone and their mother was traveling throughout Canada. Like we'd never been to the West Coast, and which is really beautiful and highly recommend. But the flights were really cheap. They were like $300 or something.
Yeah.
So we were like last minute. We're like, let's just go.
Yeah.
So we go, and we do not have hiking, but like we have nothing. Like we go in like sneakers, and we did this hike around Lake Louise, and Justin was like, oh, I loved it. Like this was really fun. So the next day we went to Moraine Lake, which is also like just as blue, just as beautiful, but less well known, I guess. Justin got very like optimistic because we did so well the day before.
Right.
So we go to the ranger, and we're like, what is the longest hike at Moraine Lake? And they're like, oh, there's this one. It's like, I don't know how many feet. I think it was like 5,000 feet elevation or something. And which I don't know if that's a lot or not, because again, I'm not a hiker, but it was a 5-hour hike. So the ranger's like, do you guys have bear spray? And we're like, no. They're like, do you have the little bells for your backpacks? We're like, no. He's like, okay, well, there haven't been any bear sightings today, so you should be fine. And we're like, okay.
And it's grizzly bears out there. Those are scary.
Yeah.
Those are not the bears you want to run into.
No. So they're like, okay, well, just keep talking or like just make noise and the bears won't approach you. So I kid you not, I have never chatted such garbage in my life. Like we talked about nothing for 5 hours just to keep our voices going.
You must have been like dying just like from between the walking and the talking. Like, just,
Yeah.
What?
But it was really cool. It was really
Yeah,
fun.
that's cool.
But let me tell you, when we got back to our hotel that night, we were
Done.
dead.
Yeah, for sure.
Dead.
For sure.
And that was half of what they just did.
Yeah, that's crazy. We have equipment because
Yeah, because you are outdoorsy people. We are not.
Well, Scott is. Like, I go along for the ride. I do enjoy a hike. I do enjoy walking. I don't know if I would go if Scott didn't, like, want to go, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how. Maybe on a trip, but I'm not as outdoorsy as him. That's all I'm saying.
I don't think anyone is outdoorsy as him.
Yeah. But, yeah, no, that's crazy. Grizzly bears scare me.
We didn't see anything. But anytime we would hear a rustle, I'd be like, Justin, what's that?
I would be freaking out, too.
Yeah. And then at one point, we heard this, like, really loud rumbling noise. And Justin's like, oh, that's probably a helicopter. Like, you know, like a rich person would want to see the Rockies, but they wouldn't want to hike, so they'd take a helicopter. Meanwhile, I'd like not seen a single helicopter this whole time. Turns out it was an avalanche that happened like across the valley that we saw it.
Oh my God.
Like Justin had heard it before, and then we reached this area of the hike where there were not many trees. It was just like a lot of rocks, and there was this other like little lake, I guess, that we were hiking to like sit and have a picnic or whatever. Then we would hike back down. It was like a lake in the mountains, which I was about to say, which I didn't know was a thing, but it is a thing, and it's a thing. And that's what happens in Silver Flames. They reached a lake in the mountain, so that was really dumb of me. Anyway, so
if it's in Silver Flames, it must be real.
That was even dumber.
Please don't cut that out.
I won't. Anyway, so we're like, we see this lake, like it's maybe a few hundred meters away from us. And that's when we hear the rumbling again, and we look across this like valley and we see the avalanche. And I look at Justin and I was like, I've seen enough. How about you? And he's like, yep. And we just...
That's crazy.
Because by now, like, we had not seen another human being for like hours. We're in the middle of nowhere. We are both not outdoorsy people. We do not have the tools and equipment necessary.
Yeah.
We're like, let's get out of here.
Yeah. Yeah, you probably did good leaving.
Yeah. But you know what? That is like me in a nutshell. I embark on things without the full information. And this is a perfect example
that's so funny.
of Besties.
Yeah, because I'm fully the opposite. So that's funny.
And I brought you to the dark side for this endeavor.
Oh, yes. Oh, for this. Yes. But yeah, when it comes to traveling and stuff, I over-prepare.
Really?
That's cool.
We went to Italy, not a single plan. We knew where we were sleeping. That's it.
Oh, no. Yeah, no, I do all the research because I want to make the best decisions. Like I go into this like panic of like, I'm only going to get to do this once. So I need to do all the things. That being said, once I'm there, I'm very like laissez-faire and like go with the flow. And I don't have like a minute to minute itinerary, but I just want to maximize the trip. So I like do the research.
Yeah, no. This was another like kind of last minute trip. We planned it like in June and we went in August. And because I told Justin I wanted to eat pizza, pasta, and gelato every day. I wanted to go to Italy. And he's like, okay.
That's a good reason to go to Italy.
Yeah. So what we would do is every time we would like arrive in a new city, because we did like 5 cities, Justin would just find a YouTube video of like what to do in that city. And we'd like watch a few of them and we'd be like, okay, that's what we're going to do. Like these are the places we're going to go eat. And this is like.
Okay. So you do some.
Yeah. But we did it like while we were there.
Yeah,
I know people that like
crazy.
planned where they were going to eat before even leaving Montreal. They knew what they were going to eat every single day.
Oh, so you met my husband. He doesn't mess around when it comes to food.
Oh my goodness.
When it comes to eating good food.
The thing is, in Italy, you can't have a bad meal.
Yeah.
There's no such thing.
Yeah. No, I understand. I don't like Italian food.
But you're Italian.
I know.
I thought you didn't like pasta.
Yeah. So
but there's so much more Italian food than pasta.
Yeah, I know. It's just not my favorite.
So disturbing to me.
I know.
Okay. Basically, this hike is Brennan's idea of team building. Quote, not only have the wing leaders been given the locations of the griffin traps to disarm them, but you will need to learn some mutual respect and trust before you can be educated together. No rider will respect a cadet who hasn't crossed the parapet. Riddick pushes back that the path is narrow, but not as narrow as a parapet, and Serena pipes up that she'd agree that it wasn't comparable, except that they're risking their griffins as well. Brennan informs the cadets that, quote, each squad will be paired with a drift of equal strength to make the ascent. Hopefully, by the time you reach the top, you've found some mutual ground on which to build a framework of partnership. And obviously, Violet's squad is paired with Kat's drift.
Wah, wah.
Yeah. And this is going to be very fruitful, I bet.
Yes.
Pause not.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of get like okay, you guys are going to go through this, work it out, and hopefully it helps the relationships. And I think it would a little bit, but there's so much history there.
Yeah.
One 12-hour hike isn't going to solve it, you know?
Absolutely.
There's so much unlearning of prejudices that they need to do to get anywhere, you know?
Totally. We have a 3-hour time jump, and Violet's calves are killing her, and her back is hurting her from her backpack. Like, she's not in great shape. She checks on Sloane, and we learn that they're climbing single file, so this path is narrow indeed. Actually, sometimes it's 6 feet wide, and sometimes it's a little over 1 foot wide. So when it gets that narrow, the humans press themselves against the cliffs, and the griffins do this stretch to cross over. Apparently, 2 have already fallen, but they've been able to catch themselves. I know, this isn't what they look like. But I keep picturing mountain goats.
Wait, what?
Like mountain goats with wings. I know, like I showed you a picture of what they're supposed to look like. So I know for a fact that this is not what
the griffins that way?
Yeah, it just in this context. Because they're climbing the side of the mountain.
Picturing buckbeak.
Because that's what they're supposed to look like. You're right. I just can't imagine buckbeak stretching. I don't know. I'm having a very difficult time.
Yes, I also was not fully understanding. Like, I know they can't like fly, but they can.
No, they can. They can fly. That's the whole point. Of course they fly.
No, at this altitude.
Oh, yes.
But like they can't even like
levitate?
flutter for half a second.
I don't know. I think they need to conserve their energy.
Okay. I just like for the stretching part, I was like, wouldn't they just
Yeah.
You know, like when a bird like hops, like they go bloop, bloop. You know, I just picture like, I don't know. Their wings don't work at all. Like, I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't understand. But then we do learn that there is such thing as a summit wing drift. And they can fly at altitude.
Well, they're better suited to fly at altitude, but I still don't think that they could fly at the same at this high an altitude. Because they were saying that in Peromil, the highest altitude is like 8,000 feet, and they're at 12,000 feet right now. So not only does the path narrow and widen, but like was insinuated before, there are these like trigger traps that launch a battering ram sized log out of the wall, which reminds me of how the ancient Egyptians used to booby trap the pyramids.
It's funny. I was picturing Indiana Jones like this whole time. Yeah. I was like, oh, it's so Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
The theme music played in my head multiple times.
While you were reading this? Dun, 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 dun.
Dun, 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 dun.
Dun, 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 dun. We learned that the squad members are paired with a different flyer, and Violet is paired with Kat's best friend, Marin, and they have this brief exchange about Marin's griffin's ability to cross, and we learn that the griffin, Marin's griffin, isn't built to be part of the summit wing, like you were saying. Sloane then asks Marin the next logical question, which is, why come? Like, if Marin's griffin is not built for this altitude, why is she at altitude? And the answer is very simple. It's her best chance at survival. So they're going to risk it for the biscuit.
Yeah.
Violet is making an effort to get to know the flyer, asking her where she's from, and then is surprised when Marin reveals that she knows all about Violet because she was a ransom target? Question mark, question mark, question mark?
I know.
I mean, it makes sense, but like still.
Yeah. And again, I think that just reiterates how much I didn't consider Violet being in enemy territory. Like, I think I was a bit,
you mean?
Yeah, I think I was a bit naive about it too. Like, I wouldn't have been as dumb as her and just like, I'm going to jump in and
So you're saying Xaden was right?
I never said he was wrong about that.
No, I know. I'm just being a little shit.
But yeah, no, I was just like, oh shit, like ransom, like that's scary.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Marin thought that Xaden would bring Violet in for ransom and was surprised when he showed up ready to defend her to the death. And then we got a little glimpse into his relationship with Kat. And apparently it was toxic AF.
Yeah.
Shocker.
I know. It's so funny because, I mean, we've only seen jealous Kat and her in this situation. But like seeing what we've seen of Kat, I'm like, why was Xaden with, like, Xaden wouldn't want to put up with this shit.
Yeah, but like he was a young guy. She's gorgeous.
Yeah.
He was thinking with his other head, maybe.
Yeah.
But the toxicity is not at all shocking considering what a loose cannon Kat is. And I love how Sloane defends Violet and Rhiannon. Quote, hopefully she doesn't try any of her mind work on Rhiannon or she might find herself dangling off the edge. Rhi isn't someone to mess with. And when Violet gives her a look, she's like, shocked, dopey. Liam didn't hate many people, but Kat was on that list. Then Sloane reveals that she's at the October letters. So she tells Violet it's hard to hate you when Liam didn't. I'm just like, well.
I know. But also, like, obviously I would trust Liam's judge a character. He's like the sweetest
best
person.
Boy ever.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. Someone commented on one of our Xaden videos, like, being like, he's not a boy, he's a man.
About Xaden?
Yeah.
He is. But you know what?
Yeah, he is, but he's also 23.
Like, I still call my husband a boy, and he's 31.
Yeah. Yeah. Depends on context. Anyway, I just thought it was funny.
No. I still refer to myself as a girl. Like, I barely refer to myself as a woman. Yeah. Like, I feel like I'm not a woman.
Yeah.
When do you become a woman?
It depends. I don't know. Life is weird. Yeah. Adulthood's weird. I don't know. I don't know if we have the time to get into this right now.
I'm just like, in my head, I'm still 17. So I'm just a girl.
Not yet a woman.
I love how during this cliff walk, we're getting a comparison between Biscayeth and Cliffsbane. They call threshing harvest, which I think is kind of cute. And they also have the equivalent of the parapet, but it's that they walk to the edge of Cliffsbane, which looks over the river, and they wait for a drift to fly by. And then when they approach, they jump. And then if they land on a griffin and like hold their seat, they get to keep it and bond with it. Otherwise, they just land in the water and no one dies.
Yeah. So first of all, it's given La Push.
Yes, it is.
But secondly, I was just like,
that's a Twilight reference for anybody that doesn't know.
It's a new moon.
New moon, to be precise. Yes.
I'm so giggly today. I don't know why.
I love it.
Okay. And secondly, it's just how humane. And again, goes back to what I was saying before, that how the dichotomy between the two is so crazy. And I just like this moment a lot because it gives Violet pause to think about like their rights versus the Paromish rights of passage. And she's like starting to realize that how inhumane Bisgaia's systems are. And kind of like, oh, wait a minute. And we see it even further.
With the death roll?
With the death roll.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
It's just slowly, I think, chipping away at Violet. Because, I mean, it's the only world she ever knew.
Yeah.
It's no one's fault if that's the world you grew up in. But it's just like giving Violet, like, pause to think and being like, oh, wait, maybe we are doing things wrong. And maybe being human is okay. And maybe having emotions is okay. And it's just, anyway, I like it.
Me too. They continue walking, and then they feel, quote, a pulse of star-bright energy coursing down their dragon bonds, but surprisingly, the flyers feel it too, which I think is really cool. Taryn informs Violet that Erasia's first hatchling has chosen to emerge. Yeah. But this isn't a good thing because, quote, the hatchling's choice transforms the valley back into a hatching ground. It changes the magic. Every channeling creature within a 4-hour flight of the valley will now know.
That's scary. I was so happy for like half a sentence.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh no.
No, I know. It's now who knows how many hours later, and Violet is at her wit's end with this hike. She's dizzy from the altitude, her muscles ache, but they're also stiff because she's having to watch every step she takes. And whoa, her little fact trick isn't helping to calm her down.
Yeah.
So we are in dire straits. The Griffins are also suffering, but luckily all are accounted for. But being tired and sore isn't doing a lot for morale, and fights are breaking out between flyers and riders, which is unsurprising. Violet notes that some of the Griffins around her are suffering from hypoxia, and I just feel so sad for these creatures whose wings aren't just tucked in at their sides, but they're drooping.
Yeah.
Just makes me so sad.
Yeah.
And it just highlights the difference in the training of the riders and the flyers, because the riders have been conditioned in the mountains surrounding Basgiath and fly super high all the time. And like I said before, the flyers don't have that same training because only a portion of them even fly a fraction of the 12,000 feet at which dragons fly.
Yeah. And it's like in football games, like when they play at altitude, the visiting teams go earlier to acclimate to the altitude because the home team has advantage otherwise.
Yeah. And I think for the Olympics, they do that too.
You have to.
Yeah. Violet checks in with Taryn, who tells her that she's about 3 to 4 ascents from the top, which means less than an hour to go. And then there's another conversation about hating each other just for being flyers or riders. And I just wanted to ask, where is Sloane's assigned flyer? Because
they're
Sloane,
1-to-1?
I thought they were.
I thought they were group to group.
Oh, maybe. Maybe that's my poor reading comprehension. It's very possible. Suddenly, they hear Dane yelling at someone about triggering it, probably another booby trap. And I love Sloane's 180 because she went from hating Violet's guts to liking Violet because Liam did, to hating Dane because of what he did to Liam, even though Violet explained that he didn't know what would happen when he shared the memory. I just thought it was funny. When they finally reach Dane, we learn that he's warning everyone about a particular section of the hike where they know there is a pressure trigger. They just don't know from where the arrows are set to release. Because this one's not a battering ram. This one's arrows.
Yeah. Cue the Indiana Jones music again.
Yeah. We'll save our listeners' ears by not singing it once more. Back on the trail, Violet spots a rope that has been laid across the rock to mark the untouchable area. And it's 5 to 6 feet across, so they have to jump that far. And they're super tired, so this is nerve-wracking. Violet asks Riddick and Dane if they can throw Luella, who's this small flyer, very similar in stature to Violet. And I just have to say, this reminds me of my childhood because I grew up in a big fat Egyptian family and I have a ton of cousins, and there's a cluster of them who are 7 years older than me, and they're all boys. And when we'd have family gatherings when I was a kid, they used to toss me and my sister across the room like a football.
I'm sure you loved it.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah. But like now I'm like, that's so bizarre. Also, where were our parents?
Kids.
Yeah.
Kids being kids.
Kids being
That's
kids.
so funny.
Anyway, Violet tells the gang that she's used to the altitude so she can make the jump. And Dane tells her that most people have been taking a running leap. And in such a cute, like, yearning moment, Violet wishes Xaden was there because, quote, he'd simply pluck Luella up with shadows and ferry her across. Then again, he might just let her fall. I never quite know when it comes to other people. And I'm like, that's a ride of emotions.
It's also a good point.
Yeah.
Why isn't he there?
Because he graduated? He's not a cadet, and this is a cadet exercise?
Okay.
I think.
Sure, yeah. That makes sense, I guess.
Yeah. The riders won't let Luella get thrown, though, because she has to jump like the parapet. She either makes it or she doesn't. Luella's griffin makes it, and now it's their turn to make the jump, except Violet realizes this is less like the parapet and more like the gauntlet. Okay.
Yeah.
We need to talk about this.
Okay. I had flashbacks to season 1 reading this.
Oh, I don't think we're talking about this for the reason you think.
Okay.
Violet gets this look in her eyes, and Dane is like, I know that look. And he and Riddick realizes that she wants to embed the sword in the rock like she did during Gauntlet, which is, I think, what you think I'm referring to, but it's not.
Because it made me laugh.
No. What I want to talk about is Dane offers up his short sword instead of the regular standard issue that she was going to take off Riddick. And he says, quote, use this one. It has a longer pommel and it'll be easier to work in. I still know how your mind works. Thoughts, feelings.
I was just kind of like, ugh.
Really?
Yeah. I still don't like him. You liked it?
I don't know. We'll keep going. Riddick slams the blade into the rock and Violet notices that Dane flinched. Do you know why?
Nope.
Like, do you think the blade, like, mattered to him? Like,
oh, maybe.
yeah. Okay.
That
I thought maybe you'd have a theory or something.
No, I just glossed over it, I guess.
That's fine. Violet instructs Luella to jump far enough to grab the hilt and swing across, and she offers to go first. So she jumps, catches the hilt, and then when Riddick encourages her, holding his arms out, she tells him, quote, I will kick you in the face if you try to catch me. She swings herself over, lands on her knees, and then forces the pain into her little box. Then she turns around and encourages Luella, who jumps, catches the hilt, but doesn't have enough strength to hold on. They're all yelling and encouraging her to swing herself over, and I am sweating, not in the good way. But she finally does it and lands right before the safe zone starts, meaning she is in the path of the trigger trap.
Yeah. Sorry, going back to the Dane thing.
Yes.
Okay, so when he said that,
Yeah.
I was just
The part about knowing how her mind works?
about, yeah. So
Okay.
Dane's like, oh, I still know how your mind works. I was annoyed because I was like, don't come here and act like you're still friends and act like you still know her better than anyone when you have had the shittiest relationship with her for the last year. Like, it was like, you don't have the right to say that anymore.
Okay, he's not acting like he knows her better than anyone. He's just acting like he knows her, which he does.
Yeah, but he doesn't have the right to be your friend.
Okay.
He needs to earn it better.
I sense another tiff on the horizon.
Oh, really? I didn't really think. Okay, yeah. I don't know where you're going with it, but sure.
Okay. Luella dives forward, hurling her body forward into Violet, which drives them both into Viscia, and they all start to fall. OMG, OMG, OMG. Riddick grasps the waistband of Violet's leather. She hits her knees, and her poor knees, which are already sore from her initial landing.
Yeah.
Anyway, she falls to the edge of the cliff just in time to see both Luella and Viscia start to slide over. She reaches her hand out, and Viscia grabs hold of her left and Luella her right. Then her right shoulder pops out of the socket, and I'm about to vom because that just makes me gag at the thought.
Yeah.
Viscia is useful, at least, getting a handhold along the cliff wall, but Luella is killing me here because she's so useless in this moment. She's got both hands locked onto Violet's wrist, and her legs are just swinging, kicking for purchase. Luella's grip slips from Violet. Meanwhile, her griffin plucks Viscia out of the way and then cranes his neck towards Luella to try to grab her. And I'm kind of confused, like, as to what
Yeah, I didn't understand.
happened.
I don't understand what the setting is and the whole situation. But anyway, people are falling.
Yeah. And honestly, I don't care whether or not Luella is a goner because Violet looks up and all she sees is Riddick with 2 arrows piercing the side of his abdomen. And I'm just thinking, no.
Yeah, I literally wrote like, fuck off. This isn't fun anymore. Like, I was just like not prepared. Anyway, he ends up surviving. But I was just like, this isn't fun. I don't want more people to die. And anyway.
Awards.
Okay.
What's your most romantic line?
It's hard to hate you when Liam didn't.
Me too.
Oh.
What's your funniest line?
Imagine a man actually shortening a girl's estimate.
That was mine too.
2 for 2.
2 for 2. What about your spiciest?
Hopefully she doesn't try any of her mind work on Rhiannon, or she might find herself dangling off the edge. Rhi isn't someone to mess with.
2 for 2 is the best we go. That's so annoying. Okay, mine is, but consider while you climb, while you decide if you'll truly accept flyers into your ranks, that while this trail is perfectly safe for humans, it's perilous for griffins. And ask yourself if you would risk the lives of your dragons climbing a trail built specifically to kill them into hostile territory so you can learn how to better destroy your enemy with the very people you considered your enemy up until last week.
Chapter 44. A dramatic, life-ending plummet followed by a wyvern attack. This hike just went from bad to worse. Violet takes control and decides to go after the wyvern herself. She successfully controls her power, eliminating the threat. Their journey isn't over just yet, though, and now the enemy knows where to find them.
Oh,
Yeah.
so rough. The pre-chapter blurb comes from Chapter 1, The Canon of the Flyer. And it says, when a griffin bonds, it does so for life. Guard your life as you would your griffins, for they are forever intertwined. Luckily, we get no time to panic because the chapter opens with Sloane grabbing Riddick and Visya and Dane reaching for Luella. But unfortunately, she loses her grip and falls. Her griffin screams, and Violet just stares into the mist, delulu that Luella will somehow emerge. Dane pushes back onto his knees, but Violet cannot move. Her shoulder's been dislocated, so sucks for her.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where we get a teeny weeny bit of evidence of their friendship. So this is where I sense the tiff coming.
Oh, no. I like that he came to her defense.
Okay, because he wraps his hands around her ribcage and carefully lifts her to her feet.
Yeah.
Kat immediately accuses Violet of dropping her, but Marin immediately comes to Violet's defense, setting the record straight, telling her friend that she saw it happen, and it was Luella who almost killed 2 riders because she couldn't jump the trap.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy Kat, that's her new nickname, in case you wanted to know, won't heed reason, threatening to kill Violet for this, and Marin is like, knock it off. You kill her, you kill Ryerson. And it always comes down to a boy, doesn't it, Elise?
I like Violet as well. I'm getting like annoyed that it's always like, well, we can't hurt her because it's going to hurt Xaden.
When
or
it comes
like,
to Kat or in life?
or just in life in general.
Oh, okay.
Like it just seems to be like the excuse behind
Yeah.
like, well, we can't kill her because it'll kill Xaden. It's just like,
come
okay.
on. Yeah. But you know who else comes to Violet's defense?
Sloane.
Oh, I was going to say Dane.
Also Dane.
And also Sloane, question mark?
Yeah, both of them.
Yeah, they're the last people I expected.
It was great.
Yeah. Violet checks in with Riddick, who tells her he's alive. And then we learn that griffins die with their flyers, as the pre-chapter blurb says. And it's like Liam and Day, but in reverse. Well, because here the griffin was perfectly healthy. Anyway.
These deaths are just so helpless and it's so hard to watch.
I know. I found it so beautiful. Quote, Seb lets loose a stuttered 3-beat cry and the entire cliff, both of us above and below, echoes it, as though the griffins grieve the loss of the flyer as one. I thought that was so sad.
Yeah, that is sad.
Brennan arrives to mend Riddick and Violet orders Dane to replace her shoulder. Quote, do it, just like when I was 14 and 17, he answers. So this is more evidence. Are you starting to buy into like the history of their friendship?
Oh, I know they were friends. I think it was just like the way he was saying like, oh, you see how well I know you? I still know how your mind works. Like, that's not an approach that I like. But coming to her defense, that's good. He does need to he needs to kiss ass. Without being like, oh, but look how well I know you, Violet.
But that's not what he was saying.
Yeah, that's how I read it. Okay.
Okay, clearly. I read it more of like, tell me what you're thinking. Like, I know the faces that you make. Like, I know your expressions, and I know how your brain works. Like, it's more like, it was more like matter of fact, not like a show-offy. You know what I mean?
Okay, I read it as show-offy, so it pissed me off. But you could be very right.
It's all in the interpretation.
Yeah.
Violet insists that Dane do it quickly because she wants Brennan to focus on Riddick instead of her. And I love how Marin gives her a bit to bite down on for the pain. It's like it's like a little moment of like, let's rally around Violet and get this done. Dane replaces her shoulder like a pro, and my heart breaks for him because he's apologizing for the pain that he's causing her. I'm sorry. Red flag Mimi is back because I just loved him so much in this moment. Yeah.
That's funny.
I just felt his love for her, and I loved it.
Okay.
He's nice. Gaining points in my book, okay?
Good.
When Brennan arrives, Violet tells him to save Riddick, but he also notices that Dane got grazed by the arrow too. You don't care. Okay.
I didn't even realize.
It's like you have this like filter. Anything Dane related, you're like, whoop, skipping over that.
Yeah, apparently, but I didn't even realize. I'll be more attentive to Dane the next time, I guess.
I mean, you should. He's part of this book.
Yeah, an unfortunate part.
He's putting in the work, okay?
Slowly, yes.
He's putting in the work.
Slow. I said I wanted so badly to forgive him, and then he did the thing. He saved her.
Yeah, he's on the path continuously.
And I still wasn't willing to forgive him fully. I just think he has a long way to go. That's all.
I'm quick to forgive. That's my
I thought
flaw.
I was too, but apparently not.
Are you kidding? You hold a grudge.
Apparently.
I know that about you. How do you not know that about yourself?
I don't know.
Okay, another heartbreaking line is when Marin is soothing Seb as he dies. I was literally tearing up writing my notes. She goes, "It's all right. You have earned an honorable death."
Yeah.
Oh, I can't cope with animals dying or like being sad. I refuse to watch A Star Is Born because I know like the scene of the dog like staring up at what's his face. I cried just hearing about the scene because my cousin saw it and my cousin was like telling me and my sister about it. Or my cousin and my sister saw it and they started crying about it and I started crying hearing them talk about it and crying about it. Anyway, I was a wreck. I'm not even that much of an animal person, so I don't know why it affects me so much.
Anyway, I was a mess leaving that theater.
I can only imagine. Then a winged creature snatches Sebe, and it was a wyvern.
I know.
Violet yells at everyone to get up the cliff, except Brennan can't move Riddick. He's blocking out most of his pain, but he still can't move because he's obviously seriously injured. Mm-hmm. And Riddick tells them to go, but Violet won't leave him. Then Sawyer catches up to them, and he brings the rest of the squad.
Yeah.
Then we have a game of Not So Broken Telephone as Dane relays a message to Sienna that she needs to wield some wind so that the Ride of Dragons can see through the clouds.
Why did I think Sienna was a boy? Weird.
I don't know.
I don't know why.
Because what was in Hunger Games?
Yeah, something similar.
Yeah, it was something similar, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, okay.
Probably that why.
That's probably why, yeah.
Probably that why?
English! Dane orders Sawyer to get the others to safety, and Violet's like, take Sloane. And when she gets a sassy look from Sloane, all she says is, quote, I had to hold Liam while he died. His dragon already eviscerated by the jaws of a wyvern. I will not watch his sister suffer the same fate. Get up the fucking cliff. Mm-hmm. And again, I'm like, no, but why am I tearing up?
Aw.
These are not real people, Elise. Like, this isn't even that sad. I don't know. Like, I was just very emotional writing these notes.
I understand. I've always been like that, reading stories or watching movies or whatever. I'm so in the moment, in their moment.
Yeah.
That everything
I always
feels
just
real.
get this, like, lump in my... I'm the queen of the lump in the throat. Like, I know this is, like, very random, but I was listening to The Economist, and they were doing a story, like, The Economist podcast, and they were doing a story on this choir in Ukraine that would, like, sing while bombs are being dropped. Like, they would still, like... I can't.
Yeah.
Yeah. I am a wreck today. I don't know what is going on. I'm like,
are you kidding? I'm like
very
just
chaotic.
Like, yeah, same.
Violet inquires as to Sienna's strength, but notes that regardless, they don't have the weapons that they would need, so their best bet is her.
Yeah.
Taryn is aligned with that train of thought, so Violet tells Dane to find every wind wielder they have and that there's a storm wielder in First Wing. She thinks that if they can raise the temperature, it should help clear the clouds. And I'm like, excuse me, meteorologist Violet in the house?
She probably learned everything about the weather because her mom has the power. She was like, I need to clock this.
I never thought of that, but that's a great point. Dane points out that Violet is wounded, and she's like, I don't care. I got to do what I got to do. Yeah. And in a last-ditch attempt to sway her, he asks, quote, would Ryerson let you rush off into a battle against God knows how many wyvern, or worse, the venom who created them, when you're wounded?
Yes, that's why I love him.
Yeah.
It just kind of goes to show, like, Dane, you still have a lot to learn, buddy.
Yeah.
Like, I know it's all rooted in caring for her.
Yeah.
I recognize that. But.
Poor Dane. Okay, didn't think I would ever say that.
You're fully in love with him again.
I'm not in love with him. No. I will have no such slander. No, I am not in love with him. I love him. There's a difference.
Yes, there is a difference. Yes.
Violet gets onto Taryn and she starts buckling herself into her saddle, which is a challenge with one hand. And then she reminds Taryn that she can't wield with one hand. And I'm like, why not? Anyway, they fly through the thickest part of the cloud.
Why not?
Yeah. They fly through the thickest part of the cloud until they spot two wyvern who are perfectly camouflaged by the grayness. So she decides to use it to her advantage. And again, I love how her and Taryn are like of one brain almost during this whole battle. He's told Sienna's dragon to instruct her to stop eliminating the clouds and instead push them away from the cliff. Then he asks her if she feels like using the conduit, but she's like, nope, aiming is detrimental to the goal. Do you have any idea what her plan was at this point?
No.
Okay, me neither.
I thought she was going to just try to zap the wyvern, but what she does is far more clever.
I know. So Taryn is creating a diversion. The goal is to have the wyvern follow them. Mm-hmm. They're now above the cloud and the wyvern are within it. Mm-hmm. And then she throws her power downward towards the cloud, which I guess conducts the lightning and hits the four wyvern. They did.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well done, Violet.
Violet and Taryn Soren again coming to the edge of the cliff and he just drops to a landing. And I giggled because she admonishes him about potentially crushing someone, and his response is simply, I could have, but alas, they moved. Brennan has thankfully successfully mended Riddick, which is great news, and wants to mend Violet, but she's worried that she won't be able to mount again if she's recovering from the mending.
Yeah, if there's more wyvern, she needs to be at the ready.
Yeah. But we've been getting a glimpse of the Violet that we know and love, who uses her brain and creativity in any and all situations lately. So she tells her brother, quote, Wyvern are created with dark wielder magic, and Felix said something to me about energy fields the other day. I took a chance that the lightning would be drawn to their magic, and Taryn agreed to try. Dane tries to look on the bright side, at least their Wyvern were riderless, except that's the whole reason Taryn was worried earlier. The Venin already know that they're there. That's why they sent a riderless Wyvern to patrol the area, and Brennan drops this massive bomb that Venin share a collective conscious with the Wyvern they create.
Terrifying.
I know. The chapter ends with Dane realizing that if one of the Wyvern felt the energy pulse of the hatchling hatching, then whoever created it also knows.
Yeah. So they're like sitting ducks at this point.
Absolutely terrifying. These chapter endings this week are killing me. Thankfully, we don't end the episode on a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Because, oh my goodness, my poor little heart.
I know. I mean, you know what's coming.
I know. But I'm still feeling like all the feels.
I know. Awards?
Awards.
What is your most romantic?
My most romantic line is, we made a deal. Remember, all four of us lived to see graduation. We made a deal.
Same. Yeah.
What's your funniest?
You're faster than they are, right? Don't insult me when I'm headed into battle.
That's funny. I chose you last year for that brilliance, and now you'd like to be congratulated like it's something new? How odd. You're impossible to impress. I'm a dragon, a black morningstar tail, the descendant of... Yeah.
That was great.
What was your spiciest line?
So, it's a Dane line, okay?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I don't hate him that much.
Okay.
Take one step towards Violet and I'll throw you off this fucking cliff myself. Unlike Ryerson, I don't give a shit who your uncle is.
2 for 2!
Woo! I was like, all right, Dane. I see you.
See?
I see you.
Love it.
Chapter 45. The group is back in Erasia and safe for now. More refugees are coming and the town is starting to feel like a proper settlement. The pedagogy continues to expand beyond what Vizgaiath can give them when we then jump into our first rune weaving lesson.
The pre-chapter blurb comes from Captain Lyra Durrell's guide to vanquishing the Venin property of Cliffsbane Academy. And it says, it was only in the last 50 years that we realized they were no longer solely coming from the Barrens. They'd begun to take recruits, teaching those who never bonded a griffin to channel what was not theirs to take, to upset the balance of magic by stealing it from the very source. The problem with mankind is we too often find our souls to be a fair price for power.
Okay, Venin.
Yes.
What is their end game? Because if it's just power they want, which is, it's like, okay, this whole time Venin have been chalked up to be these monsters. Yeah. These power-hungry monsters. And all they want to do is absorb power, absorb power, absorb power.
Yeah.
But now we have evidence that they're organizing.
Yeah.
And recruiting.
Yeah.
People.
Which is counterintuitive because there's a limited amount of power.
Boom.
Yeah.
So what's their end game?
I have no clue.
It's suddenly like more frightening because now that they are showing signs of like organization and intelligence, it's scarier than just a monster who wants to absorb and absorb and absorb.
Yeah.
Because there's not a mindlessness to them.
Right.
They're doing something intentionally.
Right.
It's just scary.
Yeah, 100%. So the chapter opens with the death roll being called, and we learn that the names that are being called are the names of active riders and flyers who've been trying to divert the Venin's attention from the valley where 4 new dragons have hatched. And Violet's feeling incredibly useless. She doesn't have a goal or a task to focus on, and she's also feeling really emotional about all the death. Riddick, Imogen, and Quinn all knew one of the riders who passed, and I find it kind of wild how long it took her to call out the cruelty of finding out that your friend or sibling died in such a public way.
For sure.
When they start reading the Flyers' death roll, one of them screams and falls to his knees and is visibly emotional about his loss.
Yeah, which just goes back to what we were saying before, like how stark and different Vizgaiath is, or Navarre is, versus Peromiel, because like, that's a normal reaction.
Yeah, and even the Flyers all gather around him and are comforting him. Yeah. And there's no shame in what is 1,000% a natural emotion.
Yeah, exactly.
Arik comments about how he won't get used to this display of emotion. And Sloane pushes back, like, it's totally normal to have these emotions. And Aric's like, yeah, well, Violet knows what I mean because she's been out there. And Violet's like, no, I cried like a baby when Liam died.
Yeah. So did I, Violet. So did I.
I also kind of love the very, very, very brief moment of truce between Kat and Violet every day when they both kind of acknowledge the relief that they have that both of their sisters are still alive. And it gives me hope, even though I should know better, because things have not been smooth between Kat's drift and Violet's squad. Apparently, Kat's trying to make Violet's life absolutely miserable, and even more so on the days that Xaden is there. Which you would think, if she was smart, she would make Violet's life more difficult the days that Xaden wasn't there, because then she'd have, like, plausible deniability. But she's really not thinking things through, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, everything she's doing is just, it's very public. I don't know. She's fighting a weird fight.
Yeah. Riddick even got swung at by this guy in Kat's drift, but Rhiannon punched him in the face, so. I just think it's safe to say that Brennan's bonding activity failed.
Yep.
Violet even tells her friends that morning, Kat had knocked on her door before dawn and got upset that Violet answered the door to her own room because she and Xaden share a room. The memory of the morning makes her mad, and obviously I can't blame her there. And so her anger warms her hand along the conduit, which has been replaced twice in the last week. So we learn that it's not a bad thing, because when she does that, it imbues the alloy in the conduit that is used in the daggers. So her anger is very productive, which I love.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then Riddick reminds everyone that this doesn't sound as bad as when she, last week, posted a list of all the flyers that Mira had killed over the years. But Violet's like, no. She showed up at Xaden's door wearing Deverelli silk, which we know
is see-through. Yeah. I just, like, what is this girl thinking? Wait, he's going to open the door and see you half naked and be like, yes, come in. Let me take you now. Like, what?
I mean, he's a boy. But I mean, listen, my Xaden would never.
Exactly.
But you know what? Yeah. You know what I think of is the fact that she walked from her room to Xaden's room in this silk robe. Absolute confidence on this girl.
Yeah.
Good for her.
She knows what she's got.
For sure. But honestly, all I'm thinking is Crazy Cat has no shame.
Yep.
The scene changes and we're back with Weather Lady Violet, because apparently it snows earlier in Eratia than it does at Biscayeth. The town is covered in snow, but the valley isn't because of the magic channeled by the Griffins and the Dragons. The gang is walking to a new class with Trissa, and obviously they're in this class with Cast's Drift.
Of course.
It's giving Gryffindor and Slytherin in potions class.
It is, actually. I didn't think of that.
And Darna, seeing the Griffins and the Flyers, has absolutely no interest in civility.
I love her.
I know. Quote, civility is overrated. I've never tasted Griffin.
Yeah. I just love how obsessed she is with tasting a Griffin. Even when she was little, she was like, they look tasty. Like, she's just obsessed.
Yeah. But then Taryn's like, we do not eat our allies. Find another snack. Which reminds me of fish are friends, not food.
Yes.
Sawyer checks out on Darna, who he notices has grown even more. And her sass is just delicious because Riddick calls her Mini Taryn, which pisses her off. And Violet's like, no more spending time with Sigil. She's rubbing off on you. Rhiannon is late for class, which has Violet worried because despite Trissa being the softest spoken member of the assembly, she also has the sharpest tongue when she's pissed off. And then there's some general like small talk as they wait for class to start, talking about the Griffins and their adjustments to the altitude. And Sawyer uses this opportunity to ask Violet to teach him to sign.
Yeah, I thought that was really sweet.
I thought that was really cute too.
Yeah. And we learn Darna can lift her wing.
Yes.
She can't fly yet.
That's right.
But she lifted it.
That's right. Her aggressive side also starts to come out because she's baring her teeth at the Griffins, marking her territory, like protecting Violet, which I find absolutely adorable. And she's also noticed Crazy Cat's obsession with Violet. Rhiannon finally arrives just in time, and it turns out she's late because her family has arrived and settled down in Eratia.
Yeah.
Trissa starts class telling the group that they are the top performing squad and drift, so they've been chosen as a test. And Scribe Brain Violet is back and out to play, and I'm so happy because I miss this side of her.
Yeah.
Trissa asked the group if they know how the mage lights are powered. And Violet's like, yep, quote, they're powered by the excess magic both we and our dragons channel. It comes off us naturally, like waves of body heat, but it's such a small amount that we don't even notice it. And apparently runes are what makes this kind of magic possible. It's magic tied to objects instead of a wielder. Tempering runes is a process that pulls magic from their power, woven into geometric patterns for specific uses, then placed into an object, and the rune will activate when triggered and perform whatever action it was tempered for. And I love this. I think it's such a cool aspect of their magical system.
And we finally understand the arts and crafts of it all.
Yes. I feel so vindicated.
Yeah. I still feel, though, that he could have told her. He could have just told her why he was giving it to her.
No, he couldn't because her shields weren't strong enough at that point.
Okay. Fine.
Say that a little louder.
Fine.
So Trissa reaches forward and pinches the ear between her thumb and forefinger, and she's telling the class that like their shields, their power is only visible to them when they give it a form. Each shape has a meaning, and they can combine shapes, which also changes the rune. Until the rune is placed, it has no meaning, no purpose, and will quickly fade. Tempering the rune is what makes it an active magic.
Imagine watching this, though.
And it's absurd. It's
absurd.
Yeah. It looks like, you know what it probably looks like? People wearing those VR masks, just like reaching out and like touching things.
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
I love it.
Violet realizes that this is a logosyllabic language like Old Lucerish or Moranian, or like hieroglyphics in real life. Mm-hmm. And Trissa nods in approval. Violet brushes off Riddick's praise because he's like proud of her, being like, she's ours. Mm-hmm. Because apparently she barely passed the history quiz this morning, which really doesn't sound like her.
I know. She knows everything.
Well, no, listen, she doesn't know the Tirish history, which is like fine.
But being quizzed on, they're taught. She would learn it.
That's it. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
I was like, just because it's not something she already knew doesn't mean she wouldn't learn it.
Yeah, I found that a little bizarre.
Yeah.
Trissa reveals that the Tirish once controlled and perfected the magic of runes, but it was banned a couple hundred years after the unification of Navarre, because runes are the great equalizer.
Oh man, it upset me.
Naturally, riders are more powerful because of the amount of magic they can channel and the signets they wield. A rune, on the other hand, is only limited to how much power a person chooses to temper, how long they want it to last, and how many uses it has before it depletes.
So it basically could give like non-magic users some remnants of power or magic too, and the riders wanted to be above it and control everything, so they abolished it.
Basically, yeah. Well, because I think what happens is, I believe you need magic in order to create the rune, but you don't need magic to wield it.
Exactly. Don't agree with them.
I kind of do.
Really?
Yeah.
No. I think it was a power grab. No pun intended. To be able to control their whole civilians and everything.
I guess I was thinking, because like a Venin could use it, but the Venin have their own magic, so never mind. I agree with you.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Trissa tells them that she expects them to achieve an unlocking rune by the end of the day. When both riders and flyers argue the improbability of meeting that deadline, we learn that the marked ones all managed it on their first day. Like Seamus Finnegan getting his eyebrows blown off, making I forget which potion.
I wrote that too.
Sawyer flies backwards, leaving a scorch mark in the grass where he's been standing, which is why Trissa says they're having this class outdoors. Mm-hmm. The chapter ends mercifully without a cliffhanger, and Violet managing to weave the rune, but not before Kat.
Yes. Oh, well, we'll take it.
Yeah.
Awards.
What's your most romantic line?
There's something infinitely more human about the way flyers react.
Yeah, I love that. Mine is just, she's ours.
Yeah. Funniest?
Do not humanize that walking piece of terror.
Yeah. Same.
What is your spiciest line?
I don't have one.
I don't have one either.
Oh.
But for me, it's the nerve on Kat for showing up at Xaden's door in lingerie.
Oh, I'm going to give her kudos. Okay.
No, I just think it's like, well, yeah, I guess.
No, it is sassy as hell.
Yeah. Thank you for bearing with us. This was an extremely long episode. Yeah. Hopefully in editing, we're going to have edited it down a little.
Yeah. It's on you.
It's on me this week. For next week, please read chapters 46 to 50. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for listening. Please rate this podcast and leave us a review. It'll help other people find us. If you're watching us on YouTube, subscribe, like, click the bell, all the things. If you haven't already, we encourage you to set new episodes to download so that you can be sure to stay up to date. By the way, if you are interested in supporting our podcast, we've got our Amazon storefront that is constantly being updated. And we also still have our promo code with Smoke Show. You can follow us on Instagram at BookboundPod. Please also, if you follow us, follow our hashtag so you can make sure to get our content in feed. And you can follow us on TikTok at BookboundBesties. Please tag us in any theories that you come across. Just make sure to warn Elise not to look at them. You can DM us theories, thoughts, comments, feedback. You can also email us at bookboundpod@gmail.com. Let's get to reading.